Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Style Esports Season 5, Best of 3 between Bucky's Atmosphere and the newly promoted Dragons of the West here in the Piltover group. It should be a good matchup. It's Bucky's Atmosphere, first game in the league. Dragons of the West, their first game in the new group. So who knows what could go down? I'm not sure, but I do feel sure that it will be fun. And it's definitely going to be fun because making his return alongside myself, I am Jarl Carl Krieger, joined by my good friend and colleague, Brian Baymax-Custer.
Hey Carl, it's been a while. It's been a hot minute since we've been on this virtual casting booth, whatever we are, together. But it's been a blast. I've missed you. I've missed Style Esports, and I'm back just in time for the beginning of Season 5. We got, like you mentioned, the last day of the first week here. We are moving into the picks and ban stages of Bucky's Atmosphere versus Dragons of the West. And now you touched on this a little bit, but I'm not exactly sure what to expect from Bucky's Atmosphere. This is their first time ever playing in a Style Esports game ever, but their first pick, can't go wrong with Senna.
Definitely cannot go wrong with Senna. The Caitlyn banned away by Dragons of the West. Little surprised I didn't see the Ashe, but Senna, of course, still very high priority. The Thresh, a huge pick there for Uncle Ketamine. He is famous for his Thresh, the high vision score, and the heat-seeking hooks down in the bot lane. That and also the Sivir for Pappy Buck, a very common ban. Not going to be picked up right away there for Dragons. Going to save that pick for later. They opt for the Sejuani, another very standard pick for them.
Ashe still open on the table. One of those, Ashe sort of rounds out the triad of 80 carries that are broken right now. It's Senna, Caitlyn, and Ashe. So I'm not necessarily going to be surprised if Dragons of the West do decide to opt for an Ashe pick, but they could go for something a little bit more aggressive or a little bit more unpredictable, unorthodox as a response to the Senna Tahm Kench, because the Tahm Kench locked in for this Senna is sort of a preemptive answer to the Ashe, right? It's a pick away against the Thresh, against the Sejuani, right? Thresh and Sejuani bring a lot of engage, a lot of hard ways to shut down a Senna and catch her out. The Tahm Kench just says, nope, I'm going to eat her. She's going to go in my tummy and she's going to be totally safe because I have 3,000 HP and you have to kill me to kill her. And Ashe is right in there with those champions that get countered super, super hard by a Tahm Kench because Ashe is trying to make a pick with her arrow. She's trying to make some sort of a catch out come through. And the Tahm Kench is a really great answer to that. Although Dragons of the West, they don't care. They say that Ashe is good enough anyway. We are going to take it regardless of the Tahm Kench pick. That's a lot of catch from that's a lot of catch from the Dragons of the West, but it's also a lot of safety from Bucky's Atmosphere. And I really like the Hecarim pick coming in too.
A huge amount of card control, obviously, right now. All three of those champions, huge pick potential for Dragons of the West. I agree. I like the Hecarim, something that we've seen rise in priority since those buffs came through a couple of patches ago, both in the top lane and in the jungle. We'll have to see where that does go. I do like the Senna Tahm Kench lane as well. I think both of these bot lanes are very, very strong at the moment. Tahm Kench just excels with Senna, enabling her to do what she wants to do. You don't really need a mage-style enchanter support to go alongside Senna because the attack speed can't really be increased. So you want something that is either like Tahm Kench for a bit of safety or a Nautilus Leona, something that's going to try to go in and get kills in lane. I think keeping the Ashe safe against this Hecarim Tahm Kench, even with, you know, maybe the Abyssal Voyage into the backline with that horse could be very, very scary right onto Ashe's face. We see the Shen ban away as well. We're not going to have that big shield there for the AD carry.
Shen has been a very high priority top laner. I'm actually not sure about in Style Esports. I would assume in Style Esports because he's high priority everywhere else as well. Ridiculously high win rate. High pick rate and competitive. He's all over the place. He's a strong lane bully. Ever since those buffs to his passive came through, he wins way too many 1v1s. He's also got insane global pressure with that ultimate being available. Shen is just way too good. If you're not taking him away, what are you doing? And Bucky's Atmosphere, they do take him away. They recognize that. They give respect to that. But the Akali picked up by Dragons of the West is a little bit more aggressive, adding a little bit more damage threat from presumably the mid lane to help support this tanky jungler and the tanky support. It just is one more thing that this Senna is going to have to be worried about.
We'll have to be concerned about the damage coming through from Akali. Although Akali, you know, she's not a pick champion. Can she go in and assassinate somebody that gets picked? Sure. I'm just not totally sold on the team fight right now. For Dragons of the West, they don't really have that big, beefy team fighter, something like a Corki and a Zir that can really stand and get a lot of damage out. Sure, Ashe is strong. There is that Corki maybe going to be hovered here for Bucky's Atmosphere, but I think right now Dragons of the West might have trouble in a 5v5 team fight.
I agree with that, especially considering you're playing a team that is reliant on getting a pick versus a Tahm Kench and an Ornn, right? The Ornn is not going to care. You hit him with anything, he's going to eat all that engage and say, yummy, yummy in my tummy, please give me more. The Tahm Kench, same thing. right? And not quite the same thing. Tahm Kench is also a big mega tank that you don't want to blow your engage on, but he also is there to support the Senna, to support the Corki if they do end up getting caught out. It's just one more way that Bucky's Atmosphere have to deal with this slew of engage options coming from the Dragons. And they already had so many ways. I feel sort of like Dragons of the West almost counterpick themselves with some of the drafting choices that they've made. Because the Tahm Kench was seen. The Ornn was not seen yet, but it was on the table. It was open. And Dragons of the West, they still decided to go through with this sort of hard engage, get a pick sort of style of composition. And I don't know if it's going to work out for him, but on paper, I think I agree with you. I like Bucky Atmosphere's team.
Where do you go wrong in this team comp, right? They have a great 5v5, I think. Nice dive into the backline. You have Ornn for engage, Hecarim for secondary engage. Dragons of the West, we've seen the Darius in the top lane for Donald Trump a couple of times. Does it work out fine? Yeah, sure. He might have a nice strong side lane. They have a lot of catch potential. Okay, maybe you're going to pick off somebody, but you have to find that arrow on either the Senna or the Corki, or no one's going to care about it. Your engage is going to be nothing. The Tahm Kench there as well to get away from the pick. I think Dragons of the West are going to have to get very far ahead in this early game, maybe just individually in lanes, if they want to have any chance come the mid game, late game, when they have to fight 5v5 around objectives. You can't just get a pick around objectives, maybe stack some Dragons up early to build that buffer for themselves, but I think Dragons of the West have much harder win conditions in this game.
I 100% agree with that. And Dragons of the West, like you said, it's all about that early game. Top lane should be a favorable matchup for Donald. And I love that it's Donald and not Donald. It should be a very favorable matchup for him. Bot side of the map as well. It's a Corki mid lane for Bucky, and it's a Senna Tahm Kench bot lane. None of those champions are very aggressive. None of those champions are looking to make things happen early. The Corki and the Senna scale very, very well, and they set up for other damage dealers, especially the Senna. The Senna sets up for other damage dealers pretty well, but it's really only Array on the Hecarim that is going to be a scary early game threat from Bucky's Atmosphere. And Dragons of the West, if they can play off that lane pressure that they should have mid lane, and they should have bot lane, and they definitely should have top lane to move in as a unit into the blue side jungle and take away some of that, take away vision control from Bucky's Atmosphere, take away take away the shadows, the fogs of war, right? Make sure that you know where Array is. Make sure you know where the Hecarim is. If Array is tracked throughout this early game, throughout the mid game, and Dragons of the West, they don't make any mistakes around the Hecarim, I think they definitely can look to play aggressive, and they can look to find wins around early Dragons, around early Heralds, around early turrets, and maybe snowball that into a victory 20 to 25 minutes before the Senna and the Corki really have a chance to come online.
Early, I think, is, of course, the key word in this game. I want to see Nemesis on the top side. Dragons of the West, they don't love to play around their bot side. Pappy, Buck, and Ketamine, yeah, they do great in the bot lane. They get a lot of farm. They're strong in teamfights. Ketamine, legendary for his vision scores. But I want to see this Sejuani trying to get the Darius ahead, trying to get the Akali ahead. They are much more important to be strong than this Ashe. You'd much rather have a 4-0 Darius than a 4-0 Ashe, I think, in this game, right? Ashe is always going to be able to throw out those arrows. I imagine Corki's going to take cleanse. I think he's still immobile enough that at level 6s especially, Sejuani and Akali can probably run down Corki. Yeah, you need to know where Array is. I think tracking the jungler, like you said, Baymax, is going to be crucial in this early game for Dragons of the West, because even a lane like Ashe Thresh, there's a lot of CC coming out of Senna Tahm Kench. They can set up a gank from Hecarim very, very easily. The Senna W plus the Tongue Lash, both relatively simple skill shots to land. I think a top lane focus is probably the best way to go in this game, although they will have to reconcile that with Dragons. But I think you do want to get the top laners ahead. If this Darius can come out of lane 4-0, 5-0, I think there's a chance they can dominate the side lanes.
And I agree and disagree. I agree that Donald Trump just dominating the side lane is a huge win condition for Dragons of the West. I don't think that they should need to dedicate a ton of Nemesis time to the top side of the map to accomplish that, right? As long as you know where Array is and you can make sure that Donald is safe when Array is topside, he should stomp that 1v1 anyway, and then you can dedicate more of that time to the bot side of the map, because especially once level 6 comes online, if you're a Sejuani, in my mind, you definitely want to be playing around with the Akali and the Ashe and the Thresh, right? Ashe and Thresh have so much setup and so much damage just by themselves that combine that with a Frozen Tomb from Sejuani, and it's just game over. Someone gets picked, even if it's the Tahm Kench, he is gonna go down. Mid lane also, once Fish and Valor recalls, gets himself a Hextech Revolver, especially if he manages to finish a Gunblade, he is going to become a ridiculous skirmishing threat that honestly, Bucky's atmosphere aren't going to have a great answer for if Slim Kim is not in the team fight. And that's the key thing, right? You mentioned the side lane. It's important. I feel like for Bucky's atmosphere's team fight to really come together, they need the Ornn there. They need the Ornn horn, or they can't do anything in these fights. And that really is going to matter a lot. So I think you're right and wrong.
Right and wrong. Well, I'll take 50% on that one. I think the Ornn will be critical to these team fights, though. Without him, that he's kind of the glue that will hold this team together, I think, for that engage and a bit of tankiness in the front. But we'll have to wait and see if Dragons of the West are able to get ahead far enough in the early game to take this win, or if Bucky's atmosphere is going to go undefeated in their style esports games in their debut. We'll be right back after the break with game number 1. Welcome on to the Rift, everyone. We are locked and loaded for game 1 between Bucky's Atmosphere on the blue side and Dragons of the West on the red side in the Piltover showdown here. It's Bucky's Atmosphere's first game in the league. It is Dragons of the West's first game in this group. Should be a good one. You're all Carl alongside Baymax on the call.
You know who's the most locked and loaded right now? It's a neutral laner on this Corgi, or on this Corgi with the Corgi. He's locked and loaded with all sorts of tennis balls and bones, and I absolutely love that skin. and I love the champion. So I cannot wait to see how this mid lane goes. But you and I were talking about it a little bit before we got into this game, before we got live here. Fish and Valor is probably the strongest player on Dragons of the West. And on a pick like Akali that has a lot of agency and a lot of potential to pop off and really do extremely good things in these early skirmishes, I'm definitely expecting them. I'm expecting Dragons to spend a lot of time playing around him in the mid lane. Him and Nemesis are probably going to work together quite a bit through this early game because Akali and Sejuani go quite well together. The Sejuani sets up fantastically for most sorts of damagey assassin type champions. Got a lot of crowd control paired with a lot of damage. That is always a match made of heaven. So Dragons of the West, I'm looking to the mid lane here.
I am too. I think Fish and Valor, he's Diamond 2, highest elo in the game by a decent bit. Here, Nemesis and Donald Trump, both in the middle of Platinum. So I think, likely to be playing around this mid lane. I think it makes the most sense. Corki also doesn't have cleanse. I called out that I wanted to see him take that in the champ select. He did not. This Corki can die very, very quickly. There's a lot of crowd control from Nemesis and Fish and Valor together.
That's an excellent point. And I actually didn't even notice that, but you're 100% right. Heal is honestly a pretty greedy summoner spell to take. And you might say heal greedy, but it's a combat summon. Corki would normally take teleport. Why and how can heal possibly be greedy? But when you're looking down the barrel of a Sejuani ultimate of Nemesis on this beautiful, beautiful glacial prison right here, that is scary. That's a big AoE stun that is really going to wreck what you're trying to do if you're a mid lane sort of AD carry that is just trying to stay alive through this early game. And you're laning against an Akali with Ignite and Flash and a jungle Sejuani with Flash and like a 2-second stun. 2 seconds is all Fish and Valor are going to need to absolutely tear you apart. If you are an AD carry, even if you got heal, that's not going to be enough. The cleanse could have been huge, doesn't have it. That might pay off for him. The heal could come up big, but we'll have to wait and see.
I really dislike the heal. I think you either go teleport or you go cleanse here. But to me, the Ashe itself is enough to take cleanse, even without the Sejuani in the jungle. I think you still want that for the late game. I know you have the Tahm Kench. He has cleanse. That's a risky combo. You have to rely on Gazult, the support, to be eating you. The eat has to be up. He has to be in the area. There's a lot of variables that have to go right. I think cleanse here would have been much, much safer for this Corki. And I hope he gets punished for it because I think, like you said, I don't even know if it's greedy necessarily. I think it's just wrong.
Ooh, let's take a look at the map here. Top side of the map, Donald is pushing into Slim Kim, and there's a little bit of a horsey in that jungle trying to take that Scuttle Crab away. I'm wondering if he's going to try to make some time to gank top lane with the wave crashing under Slim Kim's turret, but Donald Trump got to be able to run down, get some vision control in the river. He knows that Array did take the Scuttle Crab, although I don't think he spotted him running into Nemesis's jungle trying to counter jungle some of these camps away. Look where he is. He's coming around from behind, but mid lane as well. Neutral laner about to get ganked.
Going in for this, gets hit by a couple of the abilities, but able to Valkyrie himself out to safety, stays just fine, but he's down to 20%.
Ooh, top lane though, the horse is going in. Array looking for maybe his first kill of the game.
This could be the first kill for Bucky's Atmosphere in the lead, but Donald Trump able to use both summoners and walk out scot-free.
Both summoners is not exactly scot-free, but it is better than dying. Although, next time around, might not be so lucky, right? No ghost, no flash on a Darius with a lane that is still, honestly, not a great spot for him. Sort of slow pushing outside of Slim Kim's turret. Maybe Array can look to punish no summoners.
Ketamine could be in some trouble here, actually. Another Tongue Lash goes down, able to drop the stacks. A lot of damage taken by the Dragons to the West bot lane. This Tahm Kench Senna putting down a lot of punishment.
A lot of punishment. And now looking towards the top side of the map, it is once again the junglers sort of making money moves. Nemesis looking like he might be trying to find a gank onto Slim Kim and repay the favor. Now looking back towards the bot side of the map, even more poke damage down onto Ketamine.
Hook lands, Ketamine able to land that one onto Tacos, but the eat comes through from Gazult, keep his AD carry alive, and Dragons are just forced back a little bit. Donald Trump at the top lane could be going for the fight though. Slim Kim doing a lot of damage to this Darius, but Nemesis has arrived on the scene. Stun could be coming down. Donald Trump trying to get himself away from this one. Slim Kim eventually going to go down. Who will they give the first blood over to? Actually, they may have a little bit over eager. He still has flash available, actually. Isn't going to use that, and he gets out. Baymax, I don't know how he survived.
He survived because honestly, I think Nemesis spent a little bit too much time just sitting in the jungle waiting. He underestimated how much damage Slim Kim could do to Donald Trump, and it was actually Slim Kim that started that fight, engaging on Darius and taking his HP down to about a third. And Donald Trump didn't wasn't able to make anything happen when the gank finally did come through. Nemesis came a little bit too late. There was too low of a health bar on the Darius. He was forced to back off. And now a nice answer on the bot side of the map because Bucky's atmosphere. They see Nemesis show topside. They don't lose anything for it. And they say, hey, that means that we have numbers advantage on the bot side of the map. We can move forward to take this dragon, and that is exactly what they do. First dragon of the game picked up for Bucky's atmosphere, giving them a little bit of an objective lead in a game that otherwise not much has happened in. Still 0 kills to 0 on the scoreboard. Gold almost dead even, but I think that definitely favors the scaling team, the team that has a Senna and a Corki and an Ornn. So Bucky's atmosphere off to a pretty great start.
I agree. I think Donald Trump also just not quite willing to walk back in, maybe risk giving away first blood to pick up that kill there on Slim Kim, who was able to get himself out with a nice flash. So Donald Trump still a nice CS lead in the mid lane as well. So the Dragon's doing well in that regard. But like you said, they did lose out on some summoners and they lost out on that Dragon. So going to have to try to get themselves back in that regard. You don't want to be giving away these early Dragons to a team that does scale. Like you mentioned, that Senna, that Corki, you want to be, we said in Champs, like we want to see Dragons snowballing in the early game. Right now, it looks like, if anything, it's the opposite.
Yeah, and for those who might wonder why that is, the reason it's so important to get the early dragons if you're trying to snowball is not for the stats of the dragons themselves. The stats are always nice, but the stats typically scale into late game better than they do early game. But the point is, if you rush early dragons, you can threaten an early dragon soul. And soul, when it comes online, if you get basically any dragon soul at the 21, 22, 23, 24, 25 minute mark, that is absolutely huge for continuing a snowball against a team that would normally be beginning to outscale you at that point, right? That's about the time that the items start coming online for neutral laner. He might get a Muramana stocked up. He might get a Muramana stocked up on tacos in the bot lane. The Ornn is going to be hitting level 13, level 14, getting those upgraded items coming through, the Forged Fire cape and everything else that he starts to get access to. So that is why the dragon is so crucial. And that's why getting an early dragon if you're a stealing team is so crucial, because you delay that dragon soul win condition for the other team by at least 5 minutes. And even if you're not in a position to contest the next 3 dragons, instead of giving up dragon soul at 23 or 24 minutes, you're giving it up at 29 minutes, which is not nearly as impactful. And it gives you 5 more minutes to start to scale, to finish those components to really come online. So again, Bucky's atmosphere in a good spot. Now a Ray ganking top lane. Donald Trump, remember, no flash.
No flash. Doesn't have the Ghost still available, but he could get feared up by the onslaught of shadows as well. Tosses himself the heal from the Q, but he does get ignited. Just going to get cut down. First blood in favor of Array.
First blood in favor of Ray. And again, this is exactly who you want the first blood onto. I love the continuous pressure in the top side of the map from this horse. He runs down to the bot lane, picks up that dragon, runs back top lane just in time to abuse Donald Trump again for not having that flash up after that first gank. And first blood finally getting picked up for the Hecarim means he can start coming online. And this is the one early game option that Bucky's atmosphere really has. Right? Array doesn't need 2, 3, 4 items, doesn't need level 11 to come online. Once he gets Sheen, once he gets especially Triforce at 11, 12, 13, 14 minutes, that is his big item spike. That's when he can really start to shine and really start to have a big impact across the map. And if he gets too far ahead, he is going to be very hard for Dragons of the West to deal with. And you can already see that happening because Hecarim is a very strong champion in the meta right now, as is. He's got about a 20 CS lead on Nemesis. I'll hold that thought because mid lane, neutral lane are getting ganked again, but just trades the package for a Glacial Prison. He is going to be just fine, Carl.
Yeah, going to be just fine with that trade, too. I don't think you even want to go for that play with that package available. Very, very telegraphed. Super easy to get out. You are unstoppable in the package as well. So even if you got hit by that in midair, wouldn't have made any difference. Now, we are going to see the Abyssal Voyage. Nemesis is going to have to get himself out of dodge. Can get over the wall with the Arctic Assault. Is able to do so. Fish and Valor now going to have to retreat just a little bit. The bot lane not able to rotate up. Dragons get themselves out.
I like the look from Dragons of the West and the recognition, or from Bucky's atmosphere and the recognition that Dragons of the West are going to have a hard time team fighting without that Glacial Prison available. And now looking back towards the bottom of the map, a 3v3 is about to happen.
Are going to have a 3v3 teleport available for Slim Kim if he does want to join. Array taking a lot of damage. Dawning Shadow comes across for a bit of shielding for his team. Ketamine going to get feared up by the onslaught of shadows as the Tomcat is tanking up so much damage with the flash. And they eat Ketamine very low. Throws himself the Lantern though to heal up. Gazolt now could be the focus target. Goes very low. Pappy Buck picks up that one kill. Nemesis now in the chase of Array. The flash is forward and Fish and Valor is arriving on the scene as well. Array very, very low. Could get dove under the tower. Tacos is able to dodge away from the death sentence, but it doesn't make any difference. Ketamine going down under the tower. Fish and Valor is here. He picks up one kill. One kill is traded back though. Nemesis did go down. Fish and Valor also very, very low. Surely not going to be surviving this when the rocket comes through. Neutral laner picks up that kill. Dragons of the West, it looked good, but they end up losing out.
It did look good, but they just overcommitted too hard and didn't respect the collapse that could come through from Bucky's. And they paid the price for it, right? It's so bad to give over early kills to a scaling team. Another kill onto Array, a kill onto neutral laner as well, who had previously been behind in this mid lane, right? He was down about 30 CS going into that play, but gets a nice recall off now, or is going to be able to get a nice recall off. He's already got a tier and a pickaxe. Any champion that is going to be building a mana moon, you want to delay that item as long as possible. That means the 9 turret plates. That means the 9 kills, especially. And now a 3-2 kill lead in favor of Bucky's Atmosphere. Second dragon spawning as well, and no key ultimates available yet for Dragons of the West. The arrow is down. The perfect execution is down. You do have the glitch on Prism, but it's not going to be enough. There's no way.
I don't think they're going to be winning this fight. Donald Trump's on the way, but he doesn't even have teleport. The fight will commence, though. Array going pretty low as well. Into the belly goes Tacos, who's going to die almost immediately. Ketamine likely going to pay the price with his life, but that's another kill going over for Fish and Valor. That's not the champion you want to be getting fed if you are the side of Bucky's Atmosphere. Apprehend over the wall as well. Neutral laner could be in some trouble now. Flashed himself away from the Q from Donald Trump over the wall. Not going to be enough for Nemesis teleport, called in very, very late. This could be the re-engage. Wouldn't expect to see it, but that is the call of the Forge God. Pappy Buck could be in trouble here, but they instead go on to Fish and Valor. Can they take down this assassin? I don't think they're going to be able to do so. Down at half HP, the Orn goes in, but he's getting shot down immediately by Pappy Buck. Fish and Valor now on a killing spree in the 3-1 situation. Nemesis the kill on a Gazult as well. Dragons of the West come up with a huge fight and be over eager there by Bucky's Atmosphere.
Second dragon still got picked up for Bucky's Atmosphere, but frankly, a very aggressive, over-ambitious teleport from Slim Kim. And then the engage afterwards turned what was honestly a pretty good fight for Bucky's Atmosphere into a loss. And now the kill lead swung back ever so slightly in favor of Dragons of the West, matching the gold lead, also swinging back ever so slightly in favor of Dragons of the West. We are still at a game that is basically dead even, with 2 dragons on the side of Bucky's Atmosphere. Keep in mind, Bucky's Atmosphere are still the scaling team. Ooh, Array caught out on top of a control ward. There's no way out for him here. No way,
Onslaught
right?
Onslaught of Shadows is available. Could be able to get out with that one. Death Sentence goes way wide. Array just walks out.
Doesn't even have to use the Onslaught of Shadows. You got that fancy footwork. It's pretty hard to land a Death Sentence onto a horsey. Array flexing some of those long horse legs. He's saying, look how fast I am. Good luck trying to hit anything onto me. And Dragons of the West, they don't have an answer. They say, you're right, you are too fast for us. So he gets to walk out of that one just fine. Herald has spawned on the map as well. And for now, neither team putting a ton of emphasis on that objective. However, we do see Nemesis pathing towards that top side of the map. Meanwhile, Array hasn't recalled off of that last team fight over Dragon, has no mana, just chilling in this bot side jungle. I think if Dragons of the West were aware of his location, they could probably punish this and look to take a Herald away, look to make some moves across the map.
Right now, Fish and Valor trying to go for the dive. Perfect execution is available. Killing spree, neutral laner, no chance. This is just turning into domination in the mid.
I don't know what I expected to happen, but not that. Fish and Valor with a nice kill. A clean 1v1 for a clean 1v1. Yeah, got that Gunblade finish. That's a huge item spike. We were talking about power spikes a lot for Bucky's Atmosphere, right? They need the stacked mana moons on neutral laner and Tacos de Arena. They need the Triforce coming through for Array. But when you're talking about item spikes on champions, there are not very many item spikes that are bigger than a Gunblade. Although Fish and Valor, he is finding out how strong a Triforce
That's
item
the Onslaught of
spike is.
Shadows under the tower. Array going to be able to pick up the kill. That 700 shutdown gold in his pocket. Nemesis now in the bot lane misses that ultimate by about 15 degrees. Not too sure what the plan was with that one. Nemesis trying to go in for the stun. On to Tacos is going to be able to find it, but he likely will pay the price with his life. Another auto attack going to come through. Flame misses from Ketamine, but I don't know if it's going to make that much of a difference. The kill comes through for Pappy Buck. That's his second at the game, but neutral laner has arrived. He has the package. Ketamine going to get one shot. Pappy Buck can't get himself out, uses the flash, but he is still slowed by so much. Gazult, he's got the tongue lash. It's going to be the kill. There's the Valkyrie under the tower as well. The kill not going to be able to be traded back. Near on the top lane. Donald Trump trying to go huge, but he's going to get shut down by Array, who arrives just in time. Disaster for the Dragons.
That's an ace. That's literally an ace. All 5 members of Dragons of the West dying in almost as many seconds, right? Wins mid lane, bot lane, and top lane for Bucky's Atmosphere. And again, talking about the item spikes, we talked about the Gunblade for Fish and Valor, but just as the Gunblade was a big item spike for him, you have got to respect the power that comes through from having Triforce finished for Array, from having Mana Moons finished, even if they're not stacked, for neutral laner and Tacos. These guys are starting to hit their item spikes as well. And Dragons of the West maybe not respecting that. Fish and Valor first getting caught on mid lane, then boss of the map also Pappy and Uncle Ketamine trying to make something happen, standing too far forward. Top lane as well, Slim Kim gonna duke it out for a long time
You
here.
enjoying noodles, Baymax, because we are in for a wet noodle fight right now. Slim Kim, one more auto attack could be enough. The flash from Nemesis isn't able to pick up the kill, is finally able to secure that one. Going to go down. He don't feel stunned. Can he get himself away? One more Q will pick up the kill. Array to run himself out with the horse legs as well. He's just fine. 1-for-1 in the top lane.
He is going to be just fine because lucky for him, Fish and Valor is going to stop to take the Scuttle Crab instead of looking for a dive on this horse. I think that could have definitely been a shutdown, though. Maybe not with the Herald Empowered Recall available to Array to get him out of dodge and do it safely. By the way, I didn't even realize Herald got picked up. Mid lane, neutral laner, forced to use that Valkyrie to get out to safety. I heard your voice quiver a little bit. And I was like, oh my God, this is about to go mid lane again, isn't there? It was close, but now probably no Valkyrie available. A Flash Flay from Ketamine could seal the fate of this Corgi. However, I'm not going to quite go for that just yet. Bot side of the map vision control being taken over by Dragons of the West as the next third dragon of the game is spawning. Array spent maybe a bit too much time top lane. Ooh, he's going for mid.
Does run into Donald Trump, though. This Darius is here. He hits the creep from Fish and Valor, so nothing going to come of that one. Neutral laner, though, still down to half HP from that earlier trade. I think this should go over to the Dragons pretty much uncontested if they started away.
We'll keep in mind, though, he does have that heal. I think you're right, though. Dragon, going to go over to Dragons of the West, mostly uncontested here. It's already about 2,000, and you see laners... Herald getting dropped mid lane. Bucky's Atmosphere, they don't care about that dragon. They're just trying to take turrets away, and they are going to have to back off this turret, unfortunately for them. Probably not going to actually crack open that mid lane outer turret from Dragons of the West. A nice dragon look. I like the setup coming through from the Dragons to properly rotate Nemesis down to the boss side of the map while Array was still top lane, although Donald Trump finding himself in some trouble here.
Donald Trump could be in a very sticky situation. Apprehend under Array. Does have his team arriving. Gets the heal from the Q. I don't think anything is going to come of that one. Ketamine taking a lot of damage in the bot lane. Going to get rooted up at the W as well. Tongue Lash slows him down. Dawning Shadow for some damage as well. Enchanted Crystal Arrow. Pappy Buck just has to use that ultimate for a bit of disengage. Ketamine loses most of his health.
Ketamine loses most of his health top lane as well. First turret going to be falling in favor of Bucky's Atmosphere. A little bit of an increased gold lead. Now we're seeing 29,000 gold on Bucky versus 26,000 on Dragons of the West. So about 3,000 separate these teams now. First dragon of the game was picked up by Dragons of the West. But again, one Ocean Dragon is not going to mean all that much at this point in the game. You really got to have 4 before they matter hardly at all. And Dragons of the West are about 15 minutes away from getting their shot at a potential 4th dragon and a Dragon Soul. And for now, Bucky's Atmosphere sitting in a pretty strong position on the map. They got their scaling laners happily scaling quite well. You see how much power Tacos already has on the Senna in the bot lane. Mid lane as well. Neutral laner picked up 3 kills for himself so far. He is in a 40 CS deficit, but he's still scaling pretty nicely. It's a lot of gold from those kills. If we take a look at the amount of gold on these guys, he is actually still got less gold than Fish and Valor, but he's doing okay for himself. 5,700. He's beating out Pappy. He's beating out Donald. He's doing just fine for himself. Another turret picked up bot lane as well. I thought maybe for a second we might see Nemesis and Ketamine thinking about trying to pick a fight on Tacos and on Gizalt while they were trying to take that turret away, but ultimately decided against it. Carl, I think the game state right now heavily favors Bucky's Atmosphere.
I agree. I think the main saving grace for Dragons is Fish and Valor on this Akali. Very, very far ahead of neutral laner right now. Both summoners were forced just a couple of minutes ago during that bot lane play. Actually, we saw it off screen. Neutral laner lost both of his summoners, potentially opening himself up for maybe a shutdown kill from Fish and Valor. He does have the package available right now, though. I don't think this death sentence is going to have a whole lot of success. Ketamine lands it, but doesn't follow through. Missile Voyage into the mid lane. There's 4 men strong right now for Bucky's. They're shoving down the mid.
Yeah, Bucky, they say, we already got your top and bot outer turrets. We want your mid lane outer turret too. And they go ahead and take it. Oh, Shadow.
And yeah, Uncle Ketamine already gone. Fish and Valor in the backline. Can he get a whole lot done? Already down to half HP. The AoE damage is cutting him down very, very quickly. Nemesis also melting faster than an ice cream sandwich on a summer day. Donald Trump has finally arrived in the fight, but he just might be a little bit too little, a little bit too late. Call of the Fortune God finally called in as well by Slim Kim, who did walk himself over. The knockup still lands onto Donald Trump. Can he get himself away? Pappy Buck trying to fight back under the turret, which will help them out. They get a little bit of solace under that structure. They still lose out 2 kills for 0, and the pressure in the mid still building right now in favor of Bucky's Atmosphere. Pappy Buck trying to dissuade them, but it's just not working out for him. Gets hit by the Senna W as well. He has to retreat. Fish and Valor, what can he do? Bucky's Atmosphere running down mid lane.
And honestly, if Bucky's Atmosphere weren't so far ahead at this stage of the game, if their scaling laners are behind like you would normally have expected to see, that engage never goes well for them. But because Array is 6-1 on this Hecarim, and he's ridiculously strong. He's got 9,500 gold, the most in the game. He's got 3,500 more gold than Nemesis does on this Hecarim. He is absurdly strong, and because he is so strong, he just has no fear. He dives straight into the backline of Dragons of the West. The Onslaught of Shadows looked crazy to me, but he stood there just tanking so much damage for so long and was totally fine. Honestly, I'm struggling to see how Dragons of the West are gonna come through with any teamfight wins at this point in the game, because they don't have the damage to deal with Array, they don't have the damage to deal with Gizalt or Slim Kim, and they don't even have the damage to deal with Neutral Laner and Tacos, because if you can't deal with Gizalt and you can't deal with Array, then you aren't going to get to Neutral Laner. You aren't going to get the Tacos. We talked about how much peel Bucky's Atmosphere have for their carries. And when you pick a team comp that relies on picks into a team comp that is so great at peeling, you have got to have your pick champions your carries on that pick team get so far ahead that they can chew through those tanks like a hot knife through butter. And we are so far from that point for Dragons of the West. It's the exact opposite that's happened. The tank line on Bucky's Atmosphere is so ridiculously strong. That stance picked up for Array. He's not even a tank, but he doesn't care. He's going to act like one. Now Nemesis caught out as well.
Yeah, he's about to be a dead tank, I think, right now. Onslaught of Shadows onto him, tanking up for quite a long time, flashed himself away, able to get over the wall, survives for now, able to get the ultimate out, but he will go down to the Ornn. Very likely the Triumph not going to be able to heal him up. Fish and Valor now into the backline as this fight has taken multiple different sides of this, but Fish and Valor finally gets cut down. That's going to be the end of him. It's just the Darius left to try to carry his team, not able to get the reset. Will pick up one kill. He might be able to get a couple more if he's able to get onto Tacos, but he's not going to be able to do so. Double kill comes through for the Hecarim, 4 for 2 in favor of Bucky's Atmosphere. They pick up their third dragon.
Another ace coming through for Bucky's Atmosphere. They pick up, like you said, their third dragon of the game as well, and they are the ones on pace for a 27-minute Ocean Soul if they can get their hands on the next dragon. But they honestly might not even have to wait that long, because they're sitting on a 7,000 gold lead 22 minutes into the game. The Baron is up, and honestly, it's theirs for the taking. I don't see any way that Dragons of the West can contest a Baron. No flash available on Pappy either, by the way. Pappy is, in my mind, maybe the one champion on Dragons of the West that can look to start chewing through these tanks, right? Ash has a lot of high DPS. She's got the Blade of the Ruined King finish, got an Executioner's Calling as well. So gonna start hurting, gonna start doing damage to Array and Slim Kim and Gizalt, but with no flash to keep an 80 carry safe versus an 8-1 Hecarim that has Triforce, that has Death Stance, it's not gonna be nearly enough. And we talked about the item spikes a while ago. We'll mention it again. Slim Kim, level 13 now on this Ornn. He's got the Forge Fire cape completed. He's got a Frozen Fist as well, which is a bit of a greedy item path choice, but I don't hate it, honestly, because when you're this far ahead, do you really need more tank stats? I think you just need to kill somebody and make sure that that Donald Trump doesn't live long enough to pop off, hit 5 stacks on that hemorrhage and start doing some really dangerous things.
Right. We're also going to see both Muramanas get transformed very, very shortly. 1 stack away for Neutral Laner. He needs to cast a spell. He will get it. 50 stacks away from Tacos de Arena. That's going to be another 6 auto attacks and or spell usages for him. So very, very soon. Obviously, for the next team fight, they will have both Muramanas completed. Both Trinity Forces for this team are completed, as well as that Trinity Fusion now upgraded from Slim Kim onto Array. This Hecarim wildly strong. Both of the Marksmen also very, very strong with those upgrades coming through. Second item for them as well, the Trinity Force and the Edge of Night, respectively. Dragons of the West, they are getting out team fought right now. And we talked about this in Champs, like their team fight's not good. This is a pick comp that we have not seen picking anybody, and it's leading to their doom.
Also, I want to point out a very smart item buy from Array right now. He just recalled, hit the base, picked up a stopwatch for himself. I think it's so important to have those safety tools available and recognize that you need to stay safe when you are this far ahead, right? Because if Array were to die somehow, that's basically the one way Dragons of the West can get back into the game. He's going to give up 1,000 shutdown gold if he does manage to die. And with great power comes great responsibility, right? The stronger you are, the more it sucks for your team if you die. Not only because of shutdown goal, but also because you are no longer on the map. Your influence is no longer being felt. And the more and that gold that you took for yourself from those 8 kills that could have been on somebody else is now being wasted because you died, because you got caught out. So having that stopwatch is absolutely huge. I love to see it on Array. I think it was a very smart item buy. I'm a little surprised right now to see Bucky's Atmosphere sort of culminating around this bot side of the map as if they're setting up for another dragon. I think Dragon Soul is not necessarily a bad way to close out this game, but when you're as strong as you are, when you got the Muramanas fully stacked, like you said, you got the second item picked up and the upgraded Triforce for Array, you got the 2 upgraded items on Slim Kim. I don't think you bother waiting for the next Ocean Dragon. I think you go for the Baron. I think if Dragons of the West try to contest you at the Baron, you fight them, you kill them, because you have this heavy tank frontline with strong engage from the Oranhorn. Then Slim Kim and Gizalt can tank that Baron forever and not take any damage. I feel like Baron is free here for Bucky's Atmosphere, but I can always respect playing a little bit slower and taking the lower percentage risk plays, especially when you are on a scaling team. It makes sense to wait for the Dragon Soul instead, because if you fight over the next dragon, it's Dragon Soul for you. It's only second dragon for Dragons of the West. If the fight does somehow go badly and Dragons of the West do somehow steal it,
go
it's not
badly,
that big of a deal.
Here comes that ultimate from Tom Kench Academy. No chance to get away. He is up a creek without a paddle, and he is now in the Death Chamber, presumably also without a paddle. But hey, red buff going to be picked up for Pappy Buck, so that's your consolation prize right there. Baron going to be started up, and I was just going to say, Baymax, I don't really think it matters what Bucky's Atmosphere does. I don't think they can lose right now in a 5 versus 5 setting. They are now onto the Baron. I expect them to get this relatively freely. Nemesis might go for the steal, but I don't think there's any team fight potential right now for the Dragons of the West. Fish and Valor walking around the side. Ultimate is available, so there's that kind of a chance. Control it in the pit. They get a little bit of vision down to 3,500 on the Baron. Pappy Buck throwing in a few volleys, but he is a little bit isolated, as is Fish and Valor into the Twilight Shroud. Don't know how long he's going to be able to survive this one. Does have flash to get over the wall. Blast Gun as well. That's Enchanted Crystal Arrow. Baron did reset. Dragons of the West doing a very good job, actually, at delaying this objective, but I don't know if they're going to be able to actually stop it at any point in time. Ketamine has now come back alive, and Trump coming into this fight. There could be a lot of AoE potential right now, although Array just going on to Fish and Valor. Very, very low. Perfect execution over the wall. That's the Dawning Shadow as well. Flashed away from by the mid laner of Dragons of the West, but he is going to get shot down, likely by his opposing number. Neutral land on the rocket, not quite going to land. Donald Trump now able to get into the pit, potentially. Pappy Buck firing over the wall a little bit freely, but he's going to have to flash himself away from Array. Now Donald Trump now in a lot of trouble. Stair's Gauge did pop to buy him a little bit more time. Pappy Buck now on the full retreat, as are the rest of Dragons. Ketamine once again just going to get cut down. I feel like we've seen this movie before. Baymax, Pappy Buck, and Nemesis now on the run. Cleanse not going to save him. Array now legendary on the Hecarim. 9, 1, and 6. A double kill for the Corki, as well as Dragons of the West. They finally fold. This could surely be the end of the game.
That was so well played by Bucky's Atmosphere. And I mentioned it before, but the juggling of the Baron aggro versus the aggro from Dragons of the West, keeping that Baron always above smiting range, never giving Nemesis a chance to flash into that pit and steal it, right? Just keep denying vision, keep making Dragons guess where you're at and what health the Baron has, and eventually you'll force them to come to you, at which point you turn the fight and you smash them. Because guess what? That entire time, sure, Dragons of the West stalled the Baron a long time, but while they did it, Fish and Valor was getting poked, Pappy had to burn his flash, and Slim Kim was tanking the Baron, taking no freaking damage. He is a tanky orange, does not care. They're now moving straight to the Dragon. This is Dragon Soul available for Bucky's Atmosphere, and Dragons of the West have no way into the pit. They lose the Ocean Soul just as easily as they lost that Baron fight, and honestly, Bucky's Atmosphere, they didn't even get the Baron. They never committed the Baron. It was all a ruse the entire time. They just wanted to win the team fight and move to that Dragon, get themselves a Dragon Soul, and right now, boy, are they in a strong spot. Dragon Soul picked up Ocean Soul for Bucky's Atmosphere, a 10,000 or 9,000, let's be fair, 9,000 gold lead as well. This game is all but wrapped up.
A virtually unassailable lead right now. No towers in favor of Dragons of the West, right? If you actually imagine what they need to do to win this game, Dragons of the West need to win 4, maybe 5 big team fights realistically in their base, because they're not ever going to be able to push out of their base likely once this Baron goes down. I expect that to go down very soon. I think you have to steal this Baron if you want any hope. A miracle fight around this, I think, is the only possible chance for Dragons, but I really don't see it as any more than a 0.5% or so.
I honestly, I'm still impressed. I'm sort of floored at how well that Baron aggro was juggled by Bucky's Atmosphere. What a lot of teams struggle with is do we burn the Baron? Do we go in on this? I'll hold the thought top lane might be trouble for neutral laner.
Fish and Valor's going to be trouble as well. Likely going to be dying here, but neutral laner has to get himself out of the situation. Stunned up, damage down to half HP. Donald Trump likely should pick this one up. Noxian Guillotine gives him that shutdown. 700 gold in his pocket. Hemorrhage stacks are available. Array might have to be a little bit careful. He is isolated here. Donald Trump cutting him down relatively quickly. Could get stunned up into the Guardian Angel. This is not 1,000 gold that you want to give away to this Darius. Not a lot of counterplay in the mid lane as well. Onslaught of Shadows is available, though, to get himself away from the situation. Nemesis over the wall could go into the stomach of Gazult as well, who is here. Death Sentence does land onto the support, though. Tom Catch could be in a little bit of a sticky situation himself now. Donald Trump, the ultimate, has timed out. No Noxian Guillotine available anymore. trying to tank up a little bit on this Darius. Can he throw himself the heal? That is the Enchanted Crystal Arrow going to land onto the support before the Grey Health can be popped. Donald Trump picks up that kill for himself as well. Taco's kiting out very nicely. Fish and Valor running into Slim Kim as well as the Call the Forge Guide comes out. Uncle Ketamine once again going to be the sacrificial lamb. Donald Trump now running away for his life. The tables have turned in this fight. The slows are going to be enough to kite out Taco's. Very nicely played. Picks up the kill on a killing spree now against the Darius of Donald Trump. It looked like a nice pick for the Dragons of the West, but in the end, it was once again Bucky's Atmosphere coming up big.
It was not a bad look from Dragons of the West, but Array just living way longer than he had any right to. He bought enough time somehow for Gizalt and for Tacos to get there and support him. And at that point, once Gizalt used that Devour on Array, once especially the Noxian Guillotine ran out from Donald, it was game, set, match at that point. There was no real way for Dragons of the West to finish off that fight, to find a kill onto Tacos, to find the kill onto Array. These guys just heal way too much. They're way too safe. And Dragons of the West are just way too far behind. There's no real way to sugarcoat it. And so, yeah, it looked like it might not be a bad pick, but it turned into a disaster, even more of a disaster, because now that's Baron picked up for Bucky's Atmosphere on top of the Dragon Soul. Bot lane outer turret or inner turret falling as well to the split push from Slim Kim. Didn't even have to use his teleport to get to that fight, by the way. Ran up all the way from the bot side to be there with the Ornhorn to support his team through the last final stages of that fight. Bucky's Atmosphere, they are looking to end the game. They got the mid lane inhibitor picked up. My one criticism of them right now would be, I don't think they should be mid lane, but you know what? If Nemesis is mid, you can find the pick on Nemesis, go ahead, go mid lane.
He's pretty tanky, but he's not going to be surviving, I don't think. That's the Dark Passage. The nice Onslaught of Shadows into the Smite for Array, just adding a little bit of insult to injury. Donald Trump can get knocked out by the Call of the Forge. Got Array charging forward once again. Exhaust burned by Uncle Ketamine onto him. Taco's a lot of range on this center with that Rapid Fire Cannon shot. This should just be the clean push down the mid lane. Neutral laner arriving as well. Does he have the package on his back? No, he does not. So he's going to be just a little bit slow, but Fish and Valor dead at half HP from the auto attack and the Q from the center. The minions pushing onto the Nexus towers. Bucky's Atmosphere playing this very, very slow, very, very safe. Array going to get hit up by the death sentence. He could go down relatively quickly here, but that is the Dawning Shadow to provide him with a little bit of a shield. The first tower does go down. He is still doing just fine with that Ocean Soul. Donald Trump trying to pick up the kill on him. He gets himself a nice heal. That's a shutdown though. Fish and Valor with 1,000 gold into his pocket, but he goes down almost immediately. He can spend it, but he's dead. It's not going to help him out at all. The next Nexus tower goes down 4 versus 4. Now Slim Kim trying to go in for the fight. Pappy Buck tries to cleanse the knockup. You cannot do that, sir. He goes down. Neutral laner into the backline as well. Donald Trump, the upper hand, not quite going to land. Nemesis just running out of his own base, and I don't blame him. I would not want to be in this base either. It is in shambles right now. The Nexus down to half HP. Surely that's going to be the end of this one. The Nexus does not quite go down. The inhibitor comes back. That's kind of fun, but I don't think it's going to make any difference. They just got to knock that one down and go on to the Nexus, which is at about 5%. A little bit of a BM teleport, but it doesn't matter right now. Bucky's Atmosphere, they win their first game.
They come out of the gate swinging and swinging hard. And Dragons of the West, I don't know if we said this live, but I know you and I talked about it. In our minds, they were the favorites here for sure. Strong showing in Season 4 of Style Esports. Higher average elo just in general on their roster. We talked about Fish and Valor being D2 on this Akali, but it just goes to show you that rank isn't everything, and previous performances aren't everything. Bucky's Atmosphere, it wasn't even close, if I'm being honest. A pretty dominating performance from start to finish. I am super impressed with most aspects of how they played that game. And Dragons of the West, if I was them, I would be real scared going into game 2.
I would too. I think not a great situation to find yourself in for the Dragons in this new group. Competition definitely has gotten a little bit stronger. We'll see if they can pull anything out in game number 2 to force a tiebreaker third. Once we come back from a break, we'll be back in a few minutes with the draft of the next game. Welcome back, everybody. We are into the draft for game number 2 of this series in the Piltover group between the Dragons of the West, now on the blue side, up against Bucky's Atmosphere on the red side. Some adaptations already coming through. Heckram and Senna away for Dragons of the West. I am here, Colonel, alongside Baymax.
Nothing particularly surprising there. The Ash band away, though, also by Dragons of the West. A little bit of respect to that pick. It does mean that Caitlyn might be open, unless Bucky's Atmosphere decided to ban it the way it last banned. See if
they're puzzling over it.
They are puzzling over it. I would be puzzling over it too, because honestly, I wouldn't be puzzling over it. It's not hard. Don't leave Caitlyn open. Take the Caitlyn away, ban it. But they don't ban it. They take away the Kane instead. So I'll be surprised if there's not a Caitlyn first pick, although I don't really know for sure, because Dragons of the West tend to prioritize top lane more than bot lane. But there's the Caitlyn.
Makes a lot of sense. The Jhin instant response from Bucky's Atmosphere. I guess maybe what they were thinking about before they banned the Kane was, do they have a response? Jhin Morgana, a very strong lane, takes away the Caitlyn Morgana, as well as that great binding and a deadly flourish setup for Jhin. You can get a lot of crowd control that way. A bot lane that definitely wants to fight back against whatever Caitlyn's paired with.
Well, we'll see. Taking away the Morgana, I think, is good. Caitlyn Morgana is famed for being a disgusting lane, although the Karma answer to the Caitlyn Morgana is still open, so Bucky's Atmosphere could have opted to pick up that instead. However, they just decided to take the Morgana away, give it to the Jhin. There's a decent amount of synergy between Jhin and Morgana. Both champions can get pretty aggressive and set up for each other's crowd control quite nicely. So I don't hate the Jhin Morgana, but I don't love really anything into Caitlyn. Caitlyn is a very strong laner. I'm hesitating to see who Dragons of the West opt for as a supportive pick. They have not locked in a support yet. They've picked Graves in the jungle, and it looks like they're going to go with a Zyra to try to chew through those Morgana shields. I don't think that's a bad option at all.
Not a bad option. I like Zyra a lot in the support position. I think she's very, very strong, has a lot of damage. I think probably the best of the mage supports, definitely better than Brand, Xerath, Vel'Koz, the like that. I think Zyra offers a lot of utility and both a lot of damage. I think this should be a winning lane for Dragons of the West. I don't think Jhin and Morgana is as strong as the damage that comes out. I think the just base damages from the Zyra and the Caitlyn will end up being stronger, though we also see the Blitzcrank locked in. Not too sure what the plan is there.
You have to imagine that it's a mid lane Morgana, right? Either that or the Blitzcrank's not actually a Blitzcrank. We're about to see some chat messages saying GG Pro Draft Diff, but I don't see those chat messages. I think it is a Blitzcrank, and I think it is a Morgana, which means Morgana mid most likely, or maybe even Morgana jungle. But I think the Morgana mid would be very questionable because we don't know who Dragons are playing for their mid laner, and Morgana is a very strange. If you're going to pick a flex pick like that, why would you give it away so early? On the flip side of things, I don't know why you'd play Blitzcrank support here, because it's already being shown from Dragons that they have a Zyra support, and Zyra does pretty well into Blitzcrank. You got those plants that you can line up to try to block the Blitzcrank hooks. She's got a ton of damage to eat through his shield as well. Like, this is just, I think the Blitzcrank is not as good as the Morgana here, and I don't understand why you would pick it.
I agree. I am not sold on the Blitzcrank right now. I don't know what it achieves in the comp really right now. I think the Morgana was much stronger with Jhin in the lane. Sure, Jhin can also root with the Deadly Flourish off of the knock up from Blitzcrank and off the hook, but I don't think this is a lane that's going to succeed, especially if the hook misses, right? Zyra can block the hook with the plant, and then you're kind of just left out to dry. The Blitzcrank is essentially just a melee minion. I don't love the comp at all right now for Bucky's Atmosphere. The Nidalee in the jungle against Graves. It's a very squishy team so far. They're team fighting nothing like what we saw in the last game. I think Dragons of the West have picked a much stronger comp this time, scaling in the mid lane in the form of that Vladimir for Fish and Valor to try to carry in the late game. The Mordekaiser in the top as well. I think Dragons of the West did much better in this draft than the previous one.
I would agree. We have yet to see the last pick coming through from Bucky's. However, last time around, we declared that we liked Bucky's draft more. This time around, I am agreeing with your declaration that Dragons of the West have the superior team comp, although we got a bit of a role reversal going on here, because whereas Dragons of the West had the aggressive team that was trying to get lane pressure and come online before I think that's swapped a little bit, where now we have Bucky's atmosphere with the champions that really want to skirmish early. Nidalee, Renekton, Blitzcrank, Jhin, all of these champions like to get down and dirty. They have a lot of damage early on in the game. They play off each other pretty well, but they do not scale nearly as well as some of the options that have been picked up from Dragons, like the Mordekaiser and the Vlad and the Zyra and the Caitlyn and the Graves. All these champions scale quite nicely. So we'll see what happens. It seems like we're going to be seeing both teams opt for basically an entirely different playstyle than we saw last time around. That might, I would say that probably favors Dragons of the West, because we already saw the first game and it went quite well for Bucky's atmosphere. So why would you want to run that back? It's nice to switch things up if you were the team that lost, and it's not necessarily as nice to have things switched up if you're the team that won. So we'll see if that favors Dragons of the West. We'll see if Bucky's atmosphere can pull this one off, but I don't know, man. I'm not sold in the Morgana mid. I'm still assuming it's a Morg mid. I suppose it could be a Blitzcrank mid.
We're going to find out right now. I would be very stunned if it was the Blitzcrank mid. I don't think I have ever seen that ever. And it will be the Morgana in the mid lane. I just don't like the comp. I don't think it's a great team fighting comp.
I hate this. I agree 100%. Okay, if you're gonna pick Morgana mid, why would you give away that the Morgana is mid so early on in draft when you don't have to pick the Blitzcrank? They're not gonna ban Blitzcrank. You already picked Morgana, right? Plus, then that lets Dragons of the West do exactly what they did, which is pick a champion mid lane that scales very well, that the Morgana can't bully. Because Morgana as a mid laner, she plays a supportive role in the team comp. She basically just shoves mid and plays around her team, and that's about all she can do. She's not really likely to get a lot of solo kills. She's not really likely to do a lot of skirmishing early. Like, she just is sort of this pressure point that can exist, and it's nice to have as a flex option, because then you can pick something else bot lane. Against a Vlad, you don't want that, because Vlad is gonna outscale you. You basically pick two champions that both are stuck in lane for the first 20 minutes of the game, but one loves being stuck in lane for 20 minutes and is totally fine with just picking up wave after wave after wave being shoved into his turret, because that's all that Morgana can do to him. Morgana is a safe champion. You pick her because for the flexibility that she offers, not for abusing the enemy laner. And Vlad is gonna appreciate the hell out of that free lane.
Exactly. Morgana, seen as a counter to champions like LeBlanc, famously the first champion to defeat Faker's LeBlanc at MSI in the grand finals. Morgana is not a champion that wants to counter at Vladimir, right? Like, the worst case scenario for Vladimir is he gets hit by a binding and then has to pull the Tormented Soil or to wait from the Soul Shackle and is just fine. I think Fish and Valor easily going to be able to farm through this lane, not going to have any threat on him. Nidalee's, what's Nidalee going to do to gank him? He has the pool available. There's only that one bit of CC from the binding that should really never be landing from neutral laner. I think Fish and Valor is going to have a very free lane here on the Vladimir, like you just said. And that is a very scary prospect for these late game fights. There's not a lot of true tanks. Vladimir can get a ton of damage down in these fights. You have a Caitlyn firing in from the backline as well. Mordekaiser can take somebody to the death realm. Graves is a supplementary marksman champion as well. I think Dragons of the West have a very, very strong team comp against a very weird, kind of kitchen sink eclectic comp that was put together here by Bucky's Atmosphere.
I agree 100%. Although I will throw in this caveat. I mentioned it earlier that Bucky's Atmosphere, they have a team that is good at getting picks and taking fights early on if they can land some of their key cooldowns. The Morgana binding is one. The other one, which is the bigger wild card in my mind, is this Blitzcrank, right? Pappy and Uncle Ketamine, both on champions that are not especially mobile, not great at dodging the Blitzcrank hooks, and squishy, right? If a Zyra or a Caitlyn does get grabbed, that is going to chain immediately into a deadly flourish from Tacos, and probably whoever got pulled is going to die, or at least they're going to have to blow us up. And that is all that it could take, right? Whenever you have a Blitzcrank, you got to just keep in mind, like, hey, one hook could just totally break open the game at almost any stage of the early game or even the late game. And there's not really great ways that Dragons of the West have to deal with those Blitzcrank hooks. Nobody on that team really wants to get hooked very bad. Maybe the Mordekaiser, he says, all right, fine, I'll take someone to the death realm, and I got a 1v1. You just got me a one-way ticket to take your 80 carry to the death realm. Maybe Mordekaiser. Nobody else is real excited about getting hooked, especially early on into the game. And the amount of pressure that can be brought out from that Blitzcrank hook from Gizalt on this champion, it's a bright spot for Bucky's atmosphere, and it might give them the opportunity to really break open this early game in a big way and try to close out this series 2-0.
On the other hand, the hooks have to land. And that's the real caveat for this game. It's always the caveat when Blitzcrank's in a game. He has to just land the hooks. If he can do it, you probably can just win the game with it. If he can't, you're probably just going to lose the game because he's not very effective when he does not have the hook available. There's not really any shields for him either to destroy with that ultimate breaker. As the same with the Renekton, actually, they have double shield breaking champs against basically no shield, so that's a little bit unfortunate for Bucky's atmosphere. But we'll see if this Blitzcrank Morgana mid composition can take down Dragons on a much stronger comp in this game. We'll be right back in a couple of minutes once we're loaded onto the Fields of Justice. Welcome back to the Rift, everybody. We are all set to go. Game number 2 coming your way between Dragons of the West, who are now residing on the blue side, up against Bucky's Atmosphere with a 1-0 lead over the aforementioned Dragons, now taking up residence on the red side of this map. Looks like we might have a bit of a 5-point to start out game number 2. I'm Jarl Carl alongside Baymax.
I was not paying attention to what Nidalee skin that was, but it's amazing. Is that the new one?
I have no idea.
Is it Pulsefire? Is there a Pulsefire in Italy? I don't know if there is or not. Someone in chat can maybe correct me on that.
I do not think there's a Pulsefire in Italy.
It's good to be here with you, Carl. Thank you for the introduction, as always. By the way, I want to point out in chat, we had a little bit of a prediction a while ago. We had, oh my God, there's so much rouletting happening. Can I see where it is? Can I? Maybe I can't.
Do not know what you're talking
Somebody
about.
tried to predict the KDA. Here we go. Lacro Rear predicted that Zyra is going to go 0, 6, and 7 and have the most damage dealt in the game. So we'll have to wait and see if that prediction comes to fruition here. I certainly think it's possible. We talked about the volatility of a lane where you are playing against a Blitzcrank and the Morgana has been picked away so that that Morgana counter cannot come through. I'm sure that Bucky's Atmosphere are looking to make plays around the bot side of the map. That is gotta be why they would dedicate so much time and so much of their drafting phase towards this sort of Morgana flex mid with the Blitzcrank support, right? But we'll wait and see what happens on that. I think overall, we talked about the breakdown of this game a little bit earlier in the draft, but you're looking at Dragons of the West with the scaling team, Bucky's Atmosphere trying to make stuff happen early. Their late game win conditions are not nearly as solid. And keep in mind, this is game 2 of a best of 3 between these teams. And this is Bucky's Atmosphere's first series here in Style Esports in Season 5, but not only in Season 5, but ever. This is their first series ever, and they are currently 1-0 against Dragons of the West, who I and Carl, anyway, both consider to be the favorites to win this series. They are in a strong spot. We'll see if they can close it out.
Level 2 in the bot lane, hit first by Bucky's Atmosphere, probably with that dancing grenade coming through for Jhin, so a little bit of pressure gained there for Tacos and Exalt. I don't think they're going to land anything from that. The hook was not able to connect, which is the main reason to get that level 2 first.
So, hook didn't connect, a little bit sad. Mid lane pressure currently in favor of neutral laner. You saw bot lane and top lane as well. Slim Kim and Tacos just sort of asserting their control in these lanes. Now, this is what Bucky's Atmosphere, this is how the early game would be expected to go. Lanes with pressure and a jungler who can potentially be looking to get aggressive. Array on the Nidalee is once again who I am primarily looking towards on this team to make things happen through the early game, to take objectives away from Dragons of the West, to play around his lane control and his lane priority to make ganks happen. And he's looking top lane right now.
Up in the top lane, Auto likely to come out for a bit of a slow, but we're going to flip down to the mid lane as well. Dark Binding lands onto Nemesis. Both ganks kind of fizzle out where they started. Laners take a little bit of damage and get themselves away.
Both ganks fizzle out. I think that probably favors Dragons of the West, though, right? Because that means both junglers showed on their respective sides of the map. But Dragons of the West, they are the ones who are going to be really, really, really trying hard to keep track of where Array is so that nothing bad can happen to their laners. Their laners can do their best to stay safe in these lanes. Jungle tracking in general, actually, across the board is going to be super important for both these teams. And you see Nemesis moving into Bucky's bottom side, blue side jungle here, trying to take some camps away, but there are no camps there to be taken. A little bit sad for him. If I open up the scoreboard on my spectator, we will see a slight farming advantage in favor of Array, who did a full clear in his own jungle, versus Nemesis, who skipped 2 of his camps to try to look for an invade coming through here. He's also looking for a repeat gank mid lane. Neutral laner, got no mana, wave slow pushing into Valor, but he is going to sniff out the gank and be just safe enough.
I don't know if he actually saw him. No pings went down, which is usually what happens when you spot the enemy jungler. At least somebody will throw down a ping, so no pings came down. Gromp going to be stolen away. That camp finally came up for Nemesis, so is able to secure something from the jungle of Array, but he did spend a lot of time up there. Wasn't able to find that gank either, like we said, so wasting just a little bit of time up in the top lane. Donald Trump trying to get a little bit of pressure back, but just not really able to do so. Down about a wave of farm as well. Slim Kim continuing on this Renekton to have a lot of priority.
All right, I think I want to see a dragon attempt come out here from Bucky's Atmosphere, right? They have the bot lane that's strong. They have the mid lane that should have pressure against the Vladimir. And Array just came off a fresh reset versus Nemesis, who has not reset yet. So it's a Fiendish Codex to nothing, basically. However, Scuttle Crab does mean that vision for now is going to be donated over to Dragons of the West, so Array is going to not walk over that. He's going to look for an invade instead, try to take these Raptors away. He's looking for a fight.
Nemesis takes quite a lot of damage. When's the Javelin going to be off of cooldown? Pappy Buck, meanwhile, trying to dodge away from the rocket grab. Is able to do so, and Nemesis is going to be helped along with that recall.
And now Array. He steals away the big raptor. He's also going to move into these Krugs and challenge those as well. I think like this more than getting that dragon on a 30 to 40 second earlier timer, right? It's just taking advantage of that lane pressure that you have to deny Nemesis, put him a little bit further behind. And now that Nemesis has no camps on the bottom side of the map, that means that until those camps respawn that Array just took, he has no reason to be in the bottom side of the map. And that means that Array can just start this dragon now for free if he wants to. He's got mid lane pressure. He's got bot lane pressure. He did auto the dragon. He hopped over the wall. He's got a control ward, so he knows he's not spotted. He's going to start it up just fine. And because he cleared out Nemesis's bottom side jungle for him, he knows Nemesis is not on the bot side of the map. I like this play from Bucky's.
Flash in the bot lane, though. Nice commit onto Tacos. Likely would burn a summon, although every skill shot has missed. So that fizzled out very, very sadly there for Dragons of the West. Not able to secure the kill on the enemy. AD carry Tacos walks away just fine. Dragon should be secured as well, but we might see the collapse actually come down. Nemesis and Fish and Valor have arrived. Team of Plague is available. Spear lands under the Dragon. 50-50. Who's going to be able to get it? Is going to be Array. Picks up that kill. Gazult now taking a lot of damage. This fight I do think is going to go in favor, though, of the Dragons of the West. Tacos and Array getting themselves away. Gazult likely to go down for first blood. That is Nemesis picking up that kill. Neutral laner now has to get themselves away. A nice spear lands onto Nemesis. That's the kill on the enemy jungler right now. Beautifully played there by Array. The body block wasn't quite in. 1-for-1 Dragon in favor of Bucky's.
Tough to say who comes out on top of that exchange. I think I got to give it to Bucky's Atmosphere by just a hair, thanks to the dragon going over in favor of them. I do think that it was maybe played a little poorly. I feel like if Tacos had just roamed up to that dragon with Gizalts when they had initially gotten that bottom lane pushed into Pappy Buck and into Uncle Ketamine, that dragon gets down before dragons have time to get there, and it's a clean dragon for nothing. However, he did sort of get engaged on. He bought a lot of time for his team by running from Pappy and Ketamine, but he could have just been there at the dragon doing damage to it with his fourth shot, right? So you can execute it. There's no threat of a steal from a smite coming to take the kill away. Just it felt like Bucky's Atmosphere were not totally on the same page there for me.
Potentially. Fourth shot at this point in the game does not do enough damage to kill the dragon from more than smite range, so definitely don't want to be executing with that this early.
Are you sure? Because smite is only like, what, 400 or something?
Smite, I think, does like, 480. The fourth shot won't do that much damage. This much AD. Unfortunately, it does help. It's like Callisto Ren now. It like kind of works, but like not really. Anyway, moving on from that, I think he should have been up there regardless, helping his team. Sure, he was able to get away from Ketamine and Pappy Buck, but would have liked to see him just roam up with his team and probably secure the dragon for free. Getting the assist onto Fish and Valor, he's got a lot of farm right now. This Vladimir is on his way to being very, very terrifying. I think it's something that Bucky's Atmosphere doesn't really have an answer to, even though they are nominally winning right now.
Yeah, and this is sort of the reason why the Morgana mid is so weird for me, right? It's like, what does Morgana do here? If you're playing an early game team, the worst thing you can do is give a hyper-scaling champion like a Vladimir a free lane. And that's basically what Bucky's Atmosphere have done, is they've drafted an entire rest of the map that is focused on getting early game leads and making skirmishes come through. But then they just donated the free lane mid lane to a Vladimir, who is going to hyper-scale ridiculously quickly and going to become a big threat because of it. That might come to bite Bucky's in the behinds in a really serious way. Although for now, Array is keeping the tempo up. He is pressuring this Herald. He has cleared vision in the area. Donald does not know that he is on it, so it should be a pretty free early Herald picked up for this Nidalee. A bit of a risky Herald, I think, but it did end up paying off.
Nemesis spotted in the mid. Donald Trump could be in a little bit of trouble here. Burns the flash actually preemptively. Doesn't want to take that much damage from that enemy jungler. Collapse could come up though onto Array. No flash available on this Nidalee. Has to get over the wall. Don't know if he's going to be able to do it in time. Death Realm is available if Donald Trump needs to buy a little bit more time from them here. Very, very low on the cat. That is the Death Realm. Actually going to take the kill away from that collateral damage, but Fish and Valor ends up picking up that kill for himself. I think from the Hemo play, proccing it to flash forward as well. He has red buff and blue buff. The doubles now for him here. He should be able to pull away from the stun. Will not actually be able to deny that. Meanwhile, on the bot lane, Ketamine, that is the Stranglethorns down onto Tacos. That is the ace in the hole, able to pick up the kill. Beautifully done by Pappy Buck. A disaster across the map for Bucky's Atmosphere. They're going to give this kill over to Fish and Valor as well. The carries are getting kills, Baymax.
This is game one all over again, but in reverse. This time it is Dragons of the West with the scaling team who are getting leads early on. In Bucky's atmosphere, they draft a very strange composition that feels like it doesn't know what it wants to do, and they are getting punished for it in a big way. Now Array trying to take the 1v1 to Nemesis in the jungle, but it's not going to be a 1v1 for very long, Carl.
Yeah, this is not a 1v1 that he wins either. Regardless, that's the curtain call coming out. Nemesis is not going to take any damage from that. As Dragons of the West, this looks like a completely different team than in game number 1.
Yeah, and I want to mention the Herald that got picked up for Array as well, because he made a pretty risky play and essentially died to pick up that Herald. And first Herald is generally a pretty important objective, right? Turret plates are still up. You can get a lot of gold with it. But the ultimate goal with that first Herald is typically to take a first turret if you can, or at least take turret plates that are more valuable than those first couple turret plates are. You want to get a turret down to 3, maybe 2 plates left, and then drop Herald. Hold on, I thought mid lane. Array.
Nice pool. Christian Valley uses the Ghost, I think, just more out of a safety concern than out of any real need to get that one. Array gonna get slowed down, though. One more Q could be enough. Christian Valley under the tower. Is he able to get the Q in? Not quite enough. What would have needed the auto attack, I should say, to pick up that kill for himself. But this Vladimir already scary. Doesn't even have one item.
Yeah, this is not good, right? If you're Bucky's atmosphere. The late game scaling win condition Vlad is 2 kills early. He's very, very close to his first item, which is likely going to be a Spellbinder. He's got 91 CS, the second most in the game. He does have the most gold in the game at just a hair over 4,000. Nobody else has quite crested that mark yet, except for Pappy, who is about 20 gold behind him, thanks to those turret plates picked up in the bot lane for Ketamine and Pappy Buck. So that sort of brings me to the next point I wanted to make, which is, if you're Bucky's atmosphere, why are you not playing around the bot side of the map more, right? You have Gizalt and Tacos doing pretty well, burning flashes on Pappy early on in the game, and that's not being punished. And I think that should be being punished. You have a Blitzcrank with flash. If there's a gank from Array, and you know where Nemesis is, that should be a free kill almost every time.
Dragon given over by Dragons of the West. They are going to absolutely need to contest this third dragon. You do not want to give Ocean Soul Point over to a team this early on in the game. Despite their newfound lead, they did have the Vladimir in the base picking up the Spellbinder, so he was not able to participate in that dragon fight. So objectives currently very heavily in favor of Bucky's atmosphere, even if the rest of the statistics are not. Something that Dragons may need to work on going forward in this game.
Yeah. The thing is, though, if you're a scaling team, you don't expect to get the early objectives. If you get the first and second dragon on a team that's got a Vladimir mid lane, like, that's more than you can ask for. That's just a cherry on top. All you really want is to get the Vladimir to that point where he can contest the third dragon and especially the fourth dragon. And if he is at that point, which he most certainly is going to be with this team, that's all you really need out of that scaling pick, out of that Vladimir, out of that Mordekaiser, out of whatever you drafted on your comp to hit that point and do it in a strong way.
Herald dropped in the top lane. That could potentially take down this tower, although Donald Trump, very hard to dive. Right, he's playing Mordekaiser. You can't dive Mordekaiser. I think they're just going to go for the charge. That's not going to even take the Herald. This first Herald, very lackluster.
And again, I find myself thinking, why are you not taking that to the bot side of the map? A nice hook from Gazalt, but there's no real way to punish it after Ketamine burns a flash in response.
I don't actually think Ketamine needed to flash out. I think if you pop the Stranglethorns down, that you're a stronger 2v2 at this point in the game. I think you can actually go for that fight. Maybe just panicked a little bit, but if he gets hooked in next time, he won't have the flash, so he'll be forced to fight. Maybe we'll see that come through. Rocket Grab goes a little bit wide, though. Gazalt takes some poke back of his own.
Fish and Valor getting aggressive, looking in the jungle for some vision control for his team. Not going to quite find too much. Array's farming it up. I want to... You mentioned this bot lane 2v2. I think you're right. Pappy and Ketamine have a lot of damage, and if they can land their abilities, they will win the 2v2 most times. Flash being down for Ketamine could potentially be really, really big. We talked about it. The win condition for Bucky's atmosphere basically is some nutty Blitzcrank hooks. He's landed a couple that were pretty good. So far, haven't really been able to capitalize on them. I want to see Array spend more time in this bot lane, or at least tracking Nemesis, trying to figure out where this guy is so that he can't be around the bot side of the map. But right now, there is a collapse coming through on Array. He's being found out at his blue buff. He is in trouble big time.
Nice little engage going on. Everything misses from Ketamine, however, taking a lot of damage. Curtain Call is out. Rocket Grab lands onto Ketamine. Could be going down very low, but Nemesis has picked up a kill onto Array. Gazalt going to follow straight away. A double kill there for the jungler of Dragons of the West. A very successful inmate. That's what priority can get you.
Honestly, this game is almost over. I don't want to, I hate saying that this early on, but again, we've taken Dragons of the West, a team that, in my mind, clearly outscales Bucky's atmosphere in almost every way, has clearer win conditions, has clearer avenues to play fights. You take that team that is so much stronger later on in the game and give them a 3,000 gold lead early, soon to be maybe a 4,000 gold lead after this turret falls. Give them a 6-kill lead or a 6-1, a 5-kill lead. How do you come back from that if you're Bucky's atmosphere? And my answer is, I don't know if you can. It's going to be very, very hard. Maybe a nutty Blitzcrank hook, but at some point, that's not going to be able to save you. If your carries are too far behind, or if the Vladimir is too fed, if you can't really hook a Vlad. He has his pool available. He gets pretty tanky. He's probably going to be just fine unless you can really one-shot him. Same thing with a Mordekaiser. You can't really hook him. He's got his Death Realm. He can take somebody to a 1v1 no matter where he is. Nemesis has his dash to dodge out of any sort of a hook. It's really only Pappy and Ketamine who are going to be super threatened by one of those abilities, but they are not the key carries right now for Dragons of the West. They're not the ones you got to be terrified of. They are going to be standing way far back, probably behind the heavy front line, out of range of being hooked, just hitting your turrets and putting down traps and saying, go ahead, try to engage on us. And that's all they have to do. They don't have to walk up. They don't have to put themselves on death's door in the path of an engage attempt. Now, if there is one way Bucky's atmosphere can fight their way back into this game, in my mind, it's definitely an Ocean Soul. Ocean Souls are very, very strong. You touched on it a second ago. Dragons of the West don't really want to give up another dragon if they can help it. Fortunately for them, they're in a very strong position. They are not likely to have to. Although, dragon is spawning, and Nemesis already on that dragon, ready to start it up as soon as it does spawn. And Array's top side of the map, this is almost certainly going to go over to the dragons.
You would certainly presume so. I think that's probably the main win condition right now for Bucky's atmosphere. I don't think it's very likely, but I think if they want to win the game, they probably need to get this Ocean Soul right now. Their 5v5 is just much, much weaker. Slim Kim is recalling, maybe going to go for a teleport play on this, however.
Dragon going to go down.
Teleport in favor of Donald Trump right now. Hook over the wall. Could come through, actually. Tell a lie, that's a binding over the wall. A bit of damage on a Nemesis, but not a lot more will come of that. Third dragon secured in favor of Dragons of the West, stalling that soul win condition for Bucky's atmosphere for a lot longer.
If that was a hook, it might have turned into a kill, but it wasn't. It was a binding, like you correctly deduced at the end of that. Now it is third dragon of the game, going over to Dragons of the West. Mid lane turret about to get cracked open as well. The top lane outer turret for Bucky's atmosphere is still sort of stubbornly standing in the dragon's way. But so far, they'll take the dragon. They'll take the mid lane. They'll be happy with that. I want to mention the mid lane again. 155 CS on Fish and Valor on this Vladimir. 2 kills to nothing. He's got his Spellbinder at 100 charges fully stacked up. He just recalled and picked up a second needlessly large rod. He is very close to a second item death cap. This Vladimir is terrifying.
True. And remember, everybody, 2 rods do make a hat. So make sure you remember that one at home. Vladimir about to be very, very scary. Once that hat is completed, it doesn't have the Proto Belt, so a little bit less mobile, but he does have Ghost and he does have Phase Rush. So that's quite a lot of movement speed. Nemesis pretty aggressive here in the jungle onto Array. Not able to find that auto attack after the smite went down. Nothing more going to come of that. The blue buff there secured, I believe, in favor of Array. Yes, it was him that was able to pick that one up.
We're at a bit of a lull state right now because Dragons of the West, they are not feeling any sort of pressure to hurry things along, right? They got the Vladimir that's approaching death cap. They got the Caitlyn that's working towards her second item. Second item pretty soon going to be available for Donald as well. They're more than happy just sort of playing the map, playing slow, letting Fish and Valor get the items he needs. And then when there's a big objective up, another Dragon, another Herald, another Baron, that is when you pull the trigger and you execute Order 66 and kill all of Bucky's atmosphere. Until then, for now, no Baron on the map, no Dragon on the map. There's no real reason to pull the trigger just yet. Dragons of the West do not have a great dive team. They have a great team for fighting battles over objectives, over dragons, over barons. So that is what they're going to continue to do. They have a pretty good siege team, but to really siege properly, you need your Zyra and your Caitlyn to have a couple more items under their belt. So they're just chilling.
Herald goes down in the mid lane. I don't love this play either. This won't kill the turret. all the way, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it will not. Second Herald, also very lackluster. Just nothing gained from these objectives that Bucky's Atmosphere have been paying dearly in some cases to obtain. Not really used that effectively. And Fish and Valor are just freely scaling up, stealing enemy jungle camps. 183 CS, about 9 a minute. This Vladimir has been unchecked the entire game. There's also no healing reduction so far on the side of Bucky's Atmosphere. I think a bit of a blunder.
Yeah, keep in mind that the first Herald that went over, Array traded his life for it. And the second Herald that went over, Bucky's Atmosphere basically traded the third dragon for. So like you said, big concessions made both times for both Heralds in not a lot gained either time. So at the end of the day, like at the beginning of the game, you were saying, you know, Bucky's Atmosphere, they're winning the objective game, and they were. But it's all about sort of what can you get with those objectives. And if the answer is not much of anything, then what point is it dedicating resources, dedicating time to taking those objectives? You'd be better off putting your time elsewhere, trying to make something else happen on the map.
Absolutely. Double Abyssal Mask picked up. Neutral Laner and Array finding that item in their inventories right now. Pretty strong item against Fish and Valor, but also Pappy Buck and Nemesis do a lot of damage. And there's basically no armor being built. This Caitlyn also, I think, could have a very kind of underrated effect in teamfights right now. Double item already, Rapid Fire Cannon and Infinity Edge. Pappy Buck, a very strong secondary carry to Fish and Valor.
Now, fourth dragon of the game, potentially third dragon for Bucky's Atmosphere, about to spawn on the map, and it looks like Bucky's Atmosphere are not really planning on giving this away for no reason. They do have potential teleport advantage in the side lane. If Slim Kim can drag Donald to the top lane turret, then maybe TP advantage could be in favor of Bucky's, and they can look for a fight here. But already you see the recall from Donald. He is not going to let that happen. He is beelining it, booking it to this dragon as it spawns, and it's Bucky's Atmosphere that are finding themselves in a very strange position, stacking this tri-bush, trying to make something happen. The flank potential from Array and Gizalt is big, but they are way behind enemy lines. I don't know if they want to be here.
So is Pappy the hook? Pappy, luckily, I think, no, real knowledge of that, accidentally walks around them. Array and Gizalt now just out of position, finally going to get spotted now. Haven't achieved anything to push in the top lane. The only bit of solace right now, Slim Kim doing very, very well on this Renekton, but they are going to give away this dragon. This should be the second of the game in favor of Dragons of the West, and that's not even going to be anything close to an inhibitor turret going over in the top lane right now. Dragons of the West just taking everything.
Ooh, Donald might actually look to kill right here. He's going to go ahead and pop the Death Realm.
That's the Death Realm. Meanwhile, in the bot lane, Ace in the Hole comes through onto Array, going to be blocked by Gazol, but the chase is on Fish, and Valor does so much damage. Nemesis is able to pick up the kill for himself back on the top lane. Slim Kim did finally go down the dive of this turret coming through. Fish and Valor does still have the pool available. Oh, he flashes after the E. That's a little bit unfortunate for himself. Able to go into the E. Does he have the heal in time? Not quite. Neutral laner able to finally shut down this Vladimir Dragons. They maybe dive a little bit too far.
Maybe a little bit too far, but honestly, no harm, no foul, right? Like, sure, you died, you gave up some shutdown gold, you probably didn't have to give up, but look who got the shutdown gold. The Blitzcrank and the Morgana. Which one of those champions is going to take that shutdown gold and carry Bucky's Atmosphere to victory with it? Okay. Probably neither of them. Maybe the Morgana. She's building some magic. We're just going to have a Zanyas available soon. Perhaps Neutral Laner can make something big happen with that gold, but honestly, I kind of doubt it. I think Dragons of the West are going to be just fine. It was still a 3-for-2, a kill lead overall across the map in that fight for them. They still picked up Dragon. They still picked up, I think, a turret. Maybe not a turret, but they still picked up Dragon. They are in a strong spot. They got the Vladimir scaling up. He's close to a third item. He's got the Death Cap finish, got the Spellbinder finish. No Flash and Ghost on Fish and Valor could be huge, right? Flash is a gigantic cooldown for a Vladimir who is doing his best to dive onto the backline and one-shot them and land that massive Hemo Plague that infects as many people as possible. So maybe him having Flash down could come up big in the next fight. It might give Bucky's Atmosphere a window to get back into the game, but I think at this point they're just maybe too far behind.
I think potentially so. The gold lead actually isn't that big, right? Only 2,000, but the scaling just so much in favor of Dragons of the West. Pappy Buck starting to get strong on this Caitlyn. 2.5 items right now. He has Ketamine by his side. Every member does this considerable amount of damage. They also have, not that strong of a front line, but you can stick Donald Trump and Ketamine in the front line to kind of poke a little bit, just as long as you're dodging away from the hook. Their team fight's still their strongest point right now. Might actually get to see one of those in the top lane. Bit of a 3v3 about to commence. Nemesis in the bush. Not sure they know that he's there. Pappy Buck needs to kite back towards him. Slim Kim could be just trying to one-shot this Caitlyn. Pappy Buck flashes himself away. Traps go down. Flash over the wall from Slim Kim. Pappy Buck is gone immediately. It's just Ketamine and Nemesis, the ones left alive here. But Array gonna finally go down. That's collateral damage, and Fish and Valor has arrived on the scene. A great grasping roots as well. Gonna pick up the kill in favor of Fish and Valor onto that Renekton in the top lane. The kill onto Gazolt goes down as well. The flash and the Q from Ketamine comes up big for Dragons of the West.
And honestly, I don't know if Pappy Buck had to die there. I think maybe Nemesis could have let that bush a little bit earlier and saved his life. But you know what? 3 for 1 in kills. You take those. I'm sorry, Pappy Buck. You had to die. But Dragons of the West, they're winning the team fight. They're taking the Baron. And there's nothing standing in their way there's very little standing in their way from closing out this game in the next 10, 20 minutes. Because like you and I keep mentioning, they have such strong scaling options, and they're so far ahead this early in the game. It's very reminiscent of last game when it was Bucky's Atmosphere that had the strong scaling options, that got strong early, that won fights early, that took the objectives early. And this time around, different story, or same story, different players. Dragons of the West, the ones with the scaling team, the ones with the advantage early, the ones with the gold lead, with the massive kill lead, 12-4 now between these teams. And also, we mentioned the sieging power of the Caitlyn, of the Zyra. These champions are starting to come online. Leandri's picked up for Ketamine. Second item rapid fire cannon for Pappy Buck. With a Baron buffed minion wave and a 2-item Caitlyn in the pockets of Dragon of the West, they can really start to look to break open some of these turrets and start to threaten Bucky's base, their inhibitors, and their nexus.
Absolutely can. Dragons as well. Both the team and the objectives equal right now. 2 Ocean Dragons. Starts to be a little bit of healing in team fights. Nothing major. Speaking of healing, though, I just want to mention again, there is 0 healing reduction right now on the side of Bucky's Atmosphere. I think this is a huge mistake for this team right now. You got to pick up an Executioner's Calling, work in a Morello somewhere if you really want to stop this healing, because the Vladimir heals a ton. So does the Caitlyn. So does the Conqueror on the Mordekaiser. And especially these Ocean's Dragons, as they get stacked, the Ocean Soul, eventually you're going to need this healing reduction right now. And it looks like Bucky's Atmosphere is just kind of ignoring the stat.
You are right. Although, that's a nice hook.
Hook goes down. Ketamine, no chance. He's gone.
Ooh, that gives numbers advantage in a fight to Bucky's Atmosphere if they want to take it. But yeah, that flank is huge.
Have to say that Array could be in so much trouble. Pool still available. Array, no chance to keep himself alive. Fish and Valor back to full HP. Gonna keep healing himself up. Gets grabbed in, but maybe that's just what he wants. He's in a bit of a 1 versus 4, but his teammate arrives. And Ultrop is finally here. Dragons of the West are going huge in this fight. Renekton goes down. A massive heal. Fish and Valor healing 700 HP off of 1 Q. Does finally go into that pool. It's a massive fight for the Dragons of the West. They may have lost their support, but they might have won the game.
Lost the support, win, or lose support, win game. That's the mantra of many a League of Legends team. Pick up the 3rd Ocean Soul of the game as well. Dragons of the West nearing Soul Point. They aren't likely to get a ton of turrets off of that team fight win. The death timers are not really long enough to support that yet, but might break open this bot lane inner turret, might break open the mid lane inner turret, and guess what? Ocean Soul in 5 minutes for Dragons of the West. A Vladimir loves that. A Mordekaiser loves that. A Graves and a Caitlyn and a Zyra, anybody loves, oops, excuse me, I got my microphone. Anybody loves an Ocean Soul. And especially if you got a team that thrives in long drawn out fights, champions that heal and sustain a lot, like a Vladimir, like a Graves, like a Mordekaiser. An Ocean Soul, if this game, if the final nail isn't already in the coffin for Bucky's, it will be after an Ocean Soul.
Baymax was so excited about the Ocean Dragons and Soul that he just threw his mic. Very exciting stuff. I do agree. Donald Trump in the top lane in a bit of a 1 versus soon to be 5 situation up here. So I guess we can just enjoy Mordekaiser trying to kill everyone, and he's not going to be able to do so. Eventually goes down. Nidalee picks up that kill, but Fish and Valor pushing to the bot.
Yeah, not a bad look from Bucky's Atmosphere. I think a bit of a misstep from Dragons of the West. I don't think they're going to be able to punish Bucky's Atmosphere for committing so many members to find that pick onto Donald. There wasn't really side lane pressure. Most of Dragons of the West were sort of on resets after winning those team fights, taking those mid and bot lane turrets, and everyone's just sort of trying to make sure they are back on the map and strong and in a good position to contest the next Baron and the next Dragon. But Slim Kim, he caught out Donald. He might be the one finding himself caught out now on a little bit of a vision here. Ketamine gonna find him out.
Ketamine has been found out himself, and Slim Kim is immediately gone.
Oh, Nemesis.
Very aggressive. Slim Kim does have Flash available, probably to get himself away. Phase Rush, Proctor Nemesis is a lot of damage. Auto Protect, Slim Kim, you got to Flash at some point. My guy, collateral damage, not able to quite pick up the kill.
He does not have to Flash, as it would turn out. Slim Kim gonna waltz away on a very slim amount of HP, but he is gonna be okay. Gonna lick his wounds, make sure that he can go back to his swamp and emerge stronger another day here on the Crocodile. I think at the end of the day, that was probably a good thing for Bucky's atmosphere, right? They find the pick onto Donald, they don't lose anything for it, and they get flashes. They get a flash out of Nemesis, they get a kill onto Ketamine. So overall, some small victories getting picked up by our red side heroes here, trying to find their way back into this game. But call me skeptical. I don't think it's going to be enough. I think Baron is spawning soon. Dragons of the West are still in a very strong spot.
Yeah, I mean, call us both skeptical right now, Baymax. I don't think there's a lot of chance right now for Bucky's atmosphere to get back in this game. But, obviously you do have to try. If they can get the next dragon, put themselves on soul point, maybe exert a little bit of pressure. Meanwhile, Slim Kim has lost all of his health. It's about to lost half his health. It's about to lose all of it as Fish and Valor just kills him under that tower right there. Meanwhile, in the jungle right now, that is Donald Trump and Uncle Ketamine trying to do a lot of damage. Death Realm comes through, but look who has arrived. It is Vladimir doing so much damage. Fish and Valor putting his team on his back. Neutral laner is going to just be gone. A double kill picked up for Donald Trump. Fish and Valor, he wants a little bit more. Array taken very low. That's half the HP. Fish and Valor over the wall. Very aggressive. Ace in the hole. Will they give it over to Patty? But yes, they will. That's the ace. Everybody's going to be involved in that one. Dragons of the West, they're looking to go end the game.
Still no grievous wounds on anybody on Bucky's atmosphere. This game is over. 20-second death timers on everybody. Dragons of the West, they are about to win. They're going to tie up this series 1-1 and take Bucky's atmosphere to a game 3. And they're going to do it largely unopposed in a pretty dominating performance. 21 kills to 8. They don't even need the Ocean Soul to finish this one out. Carl, we are going to a game 3.
We absolutely are. Dragons of the West, they looked much better in this game with a much clearer game plan. And honestly, the Bucky's atmosphere side just fell apart. Definitely did not look like the same team that they did in game number 1. Neither of these teams did. I will say this, I think Dragons of the West overall have had a better performance. I think they looked better in their defeat than did Bucky's atmosphere. I think Bucky's atmosphere completely fell apart this game. I do feel in the first game, Dragons of the West were in it for at least a little while, so I think they are probably still the favorites going into game number 3. Dragons of the West are, just because they're off this momentum, and I think overall they have looked better.
Well, I would probably agree with that, but it's hard to say for sure because both of these teams have looked so dominating on very similar team compositional styles. And guess what? If we're looking at a side swap again, first time it was Bucky's atmosphere that had the chance to prioritize what they wanted on blue side. This game, it was Dragons of the West. Next game, it'll be Bucky's again. They're going to have first stab at picking the draft that is what they most want to look for. Whatever champion they want to first pick the most, whether that's a Caitlyn, whether that is a scaling option like a Senna, they are going to have that open to them. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. I think the draft could decide the game if the first 2 matches are any indicator.
As the draft so often does. But with that being said, we're going to step aside for the final time this evening. When we come back, it is game number 3 between Dragons of the West and Bucky's atmosphere here in the Piltover group. Style Esports returns in just a few. Welcome back, everyone. It is the tiebreaker game, the game for all the marbles. Bucky's Atmosphere on the blue side once again, up against Dragons of the West on the red. It's a Piltover showdown. It's a best of 3. It is all tied up. This is the game that matters. I'm Jarl Carl alongside Baymax on the call.
The game that matters, implying that the other two games didn't matter. They did matter. They just don't matter as much as this one. But if the other two games hadn't gone the way they did, there wouldn't be a game 3. So, in that sense, I think they matter more than this game does. But anyway, I'll not talk about that too much because you're right. At this point, right here, right now, this is it. Win or lose, that is going to be the end result of the series. It's a best of 3. We're in the third game. It doesn't go past that. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, you lose this one. That's it. You're done. You're out. You're going home. You're cut from the team. You're on the bench. You're sidelined forever. The bench is unkenched, or the kench is unbenched, as they say. 1-1 on the series. It's been tied up by Dragons of the West. Bucky's Atmosphere back on blue side. Dragons of the West back on red side. This is the last game of the last week, or of the last day of the first week of Style Esports Season 5. We are about to see these teams go at it in this pro draft.
We are currently seeing the teams go at it in the pro draft. We have Graves and Misfortune picked up for Dragons of the West. A little bit of AD carry adaptation. Ashe on the table and not picked by either team. The Jhin first pick. I wasn't a huge fan of it personally in the last game. Maybe Bucky's Atmosphere knows something I don't about the pick. They are now on B2 and B3. The Kled, the Cantankerous Cavalier, left up for game number 3. It has been locked in.
And you know, the Jhin, once again, for Bucky's Atmosphere as well, I really did feel like it didn't go that well as a pick, but I don't know that it was the pick's fault. I feel like the Caitlyn was hard to deal with, and also I don't think that Bucky's Atmosphere played around their bot lane necessarily as much as they should have or could have. I think honestly some fault might lie on Array with how that game went, but I don't want to be that person that jumps on the bandwagon and says it's all the jungler's fault. It's always a group effort. Communication is a group effort. The map movements is a whole other group effort. The draft is a group effort. Everything is a group effort. So no blame on just one person. I will say, you mentioned the Kled. I like Kled. I like Kled as a champion. I like watching Kled. I like playing Kled. I like casting Kled. I like seeing Kled in games. I like him in competitive games, in amateur games, in wherever, whenever. He's a fun champion. He's great. And Nami for Jhin also, a sustain option that gives a little bit more lane presence, right? Nami is a very aggressive laner, but can also play pretty versatilely, can play a little bit safer, a little bit further back if she needs to, can play for those heals and out sustain, versus she can also all in the bubble and the tidal wave, synergize quite well with the Deadly Flourish. Again, we have a bot lane for Bucky's Atmosphere where each respective champion's crowd control sets up for the other champion's crowd control in a pretty nice way. Although, Dragons of the West, they just played the Graves. They just played the Vladimir. They got both champions again. There's no Morgana mid yet anyway against the Vladimir. So Bucky's Atmosphere, they have an opportunity to pick something that might actually counter the Vlad. I hope they take it, because if the draft starts to resemble last game a little too much, then I think Dragons of the West are going to have an easy game 3 victory.
I would tend to agree. I think support can be very aggressive right now for Dragons of the West. I want to see either a Braum or a Thresh for them picked up. I want to go very aggressive into this Jhin. Nami, it's a pretty passive lane and can be exploited, especially with Misfortune. She wants to get ahead early. I think Zyra fine as well. Also very aggressive. I think Dragons of the West, they have a nice, strong bot lane that'll kind of make up a little bit for the power gap we're going to see in the mid. Also, they have this blind pick, or not a blind pick, they have the counter pick available up against Kled, so they can kind of pick whatever they want into that champion.
We'll see. One option on the table right now, it could be a Kled mid. They could decide to flex the Kled mid. It's not a bad answer to the Vladimir. It has a lot of pressure early versus the pick. It's also a decent answer in the top lane as well. If I'm Bucky's Atmosphere, I would think about flexing that Kled wherever the Vlad goes. Although I don't hate the Malzahar either, because the Malzahar sets up very strongly for the rest of the team in team fights. When you have a lot of damage from a Jhin and a Kled, having a mid laner that with more setup as opposed to damage makes a lot of sense. Plus, the Malzahar is a pick that can deny the Vladimir hard in the mid lane, especially when junglers get involved. Malzahar is not likely to be trading any 1v1 kills over. We'll talk about that in a second. Malzahar is not real likely to be getting any 1v1 kills on a Vladimir, but when there is a jungler involved, that Nether Grasp, the ultimate for Malzahar, the suppression that is instant targeted and lasts about 2,000 years, sets up so well for any jungler to come in, swoop up the kill. The Vladimir won't even get a chance to pool before he is dead, and then he misses waves, he misses experience, he misses dragons and heralds and whatever is happening on the map. I kind of like the Malzahar pick. Then the Malphite. Then there's the Malphite. You want to talk about that?
I do, because it's not Malphite, it's Rek'Sai. So yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right. That's a little okay. Well, you know, I like Rek'Sai quite a bit more, but I like Rek'Sai quite a bit more. But the Malphite was a wild card, and I always like wild cards. So maybe it was a Kled jungle, which I happen to think Kled jungle is very fun. So I would have enjoyed that.
I would have enjoyed it too. I think it's not very good overall, to be real honest with you. I think it would have been a fun combo with the Malzahar though. Unstoppable Force into suppression. That's not great at all. But I think the Rek'Sai also has a lot of potential in the early game for gank potential with the Kled. With the Malzahar, once it's level 6, comes through before level 6, a little bit lackluster. Maybe that's what can finally stop Fish and Valor, who, we haven't talked about it a lot, but he's got his Vladimir once again. Maybe Malzahar is the answer. You mentioned Malzahar can deny the Vladimir a little bit, but we saw what Fish and Valor can do in team fights. If he gets that QSS to kind of ignore the Malzahar's ultimate, I think there's a better chance they can stop him this game, but he did pop off last time.
Well, we saw what Fish and Valor can do in team fights when he's left unchecked and donated free farm and kills and turret plating gold in the first 15 minutes of the game. This will hopefully be a far different situation. Right, that's why you bring the Malzahar in. Is a Malzahar before that QSS is completed is basically a guaranteed kill onto a Vladimir, especially when you take into account the jungler. Right, a high crowd control mid laner that can suppress a Vladimir, a weak early game champion, for several seconds. Pair that with a very aggressive jungler that can use that couple seconds to get on top of the Vlad, knock him up, and one-shot him, all in that duration, and you have a mid lane 2v2 that is ridiculously strong and has a lot of potential to just keep Fish and Valor from popping off like he did in that first game. Keep him in the dirt and force him to build a QSS first item. And you're right, once he gets a QSS, if he gets a QSS, that is a big item that'll take away a lot of the engage options, of the threatening options that Bucky's Atmosphere have to keep him down. But that means that he has to invest money in a QSS early on, and he can't buy a Spellbinder first item, and he can't buy a Death Cap second item until 3, 4, 5 minutes later than he normally would have. That's a long time. That's a dragon spawning. That is maybe the difference between having that item for a dragon soul or not, and that is a big deal. I like the Malzahar pick. Malzahar with an early game team comp, it's a little scary because Bucky's Atmosphere had a similarly early game team comp last game, did not go so well. But I think the Malzahar can be a total game changer here.
I think it could. I think Malzahar's a very strong competitive champ, often underrated because he is so simple mechanically, but I think very, very strong against Vladimir. I think this is going to be another very boring farm lane, honestly, for the Vladimir. Malzahar, solo kill, likely not going to happen. If Array is able to join, maybe because he's going to come through. I think Vladimir is just going to look to scale up as much as he can once again and then look for the team fights. I also really like the Misfortune pick for the side of Dragons of the West. I think very strong AD carry. This is an incredibly aggressive bot lane up against Jin Nami, which is not an aggressive lane. If those grasping roots start landing from Ketamine, this Misfortune could get very strong in a very rapid fashion.
I would say if would be the key word. And the thing is, we sort of saw last laning phase a similar setup. It was Tacos and Gizalt on a lane that, they had the pressure from the Blitzcrank hook, but they basically didn't get jungle attention. And for most of the early laning phase, we really did see pressure swing in the way of Pappy and Ketamine instead on the Caitlyn Zyra. And there weren't exactly kills going over. Gizalt and Tacos were doing a pretty good job of, for the most part, not getting caught out, dodging key skill shots, staying alive. I'm pretty confident they can continue to do that. They've performed very well. They performed very well last game, at least in terms of staying alive in lane. And so I think Array is probably pretty safe to dedicate more time to playing around the mid lane, to dedicate more time to playing around the top lane, because Rek'Sai Malzahar is such a strong combination. Rek'Sai Kled, also a strong combination. And I want to talk about the Kled because in the last couple of games, there hasn't really been a key strong engage option for really either team, but especially for Bucky's Atmosphere in that last game. They have it in the CLUD now. If you have a strong early game team that's lacking in key engage options, then that can limit how well you can snowball a lead early on into the game. Having the charge available from Slimkim means that any lead that Bucky's Atmosphere does acquire is going to be potentially a lot more threatening. There's a lot more mobility around the map for these guys. They have a lot more, a lot stronger team fight presence with that charge being available. A charge into a tidal wave can be a really strong, really strong setup to start out a fight. I like Bucky's team comp a lot more than in game number 1.
I like it more than in game 1. Yes, I got painted by you, Mix. I like their comp a lot more than the comp in game number 2. I also don't think I like it quite as much as Dragons of the West. I think they have a very similar comp to last game. They should be comfortable, feeling good about it. Every champion is the same except for the Misfortune, right? It's a Misfortune instead of Caitlyn. That's the only change that came through for this team. They looked very good on it. I would like to see them play a very similar style that they did last game. Try to go, get to Vladimir. If you can get him a couple of kills early, I don't think you can rely on that in this game, but we saw Fish and Valor just take over the game when he got those couple of items. Going to be a little more delayed this game, so we'll see how that comes through. See if the Dragons can be played around a little bit more in favor of Bucky's Atmosphere, just because they might have a little more time before Vladimir and Misfortune come online. But I think a similar idea that Dragons want to come up with. We'll see if Bucky's Atmosphere is able to shut them down. When game number 3 does commence, we're going to step aside for a couple minutes while we load onto the Rift for this tiebreaker game. But this is the game that counts. You won't want to miss it. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Rift for the final time this evening. It is the Dragons of the West on the red side up against Bucky's Atmosphere on the blue side in this Piltover showdown. First game of the season for both these teams, trying to start out with a 1-0 score line. This is the game to do it in. We're all tied up in this best of three. Like I said, 1-1. I'm Jarl Carl alongside Baymax for this final game.
Final game, and honestly, if you weren't paying close attention, you might think it was the second game all over again, because Dragons of the West, they got 4 of the same 5 champions from the last drafting phase. But clearly, Bucky's Atmosphere, they let those champions through. They think they can do something different this time around. They've drafted a more aggressive jungle pick that is, or maybe not a more aggressive jungle pick, but a more aggressive mid pick, a stronger 2v2 mid jungle duo. I think they might have what it takes to bring home a Game 3 win and to win their first series ever in Style Esports, let alone their first series in Season 5. So we'll have to see what happens. This is for all the marbles. Like you said, this is the Game 3. This is it. Both these teams, 1-1, series tied up. Who can bring home the gold?
Indeed. Dragons of the West, a little bit stiffer competition than they faced last season down in the Demacia group. They are up in Piltover now with the big guns. They finally lost a game. I don't think they dropped a game actually last season since after their very first series when they were missing multiple members. So already up against a bit of adversity right now. Tacos almost steals the red buff. Oh, it goes over to Gazalt. A disaster in the start of the game for Bucky's Atmosphere. That is the worst target possible.
That absolutely is very bad for Bucky's Atmosphere. At least if Tacos had gotten it, then
it's not on the 80 carry. It's bad.
Like at least it's on the 80 carry, and Tacos and Gazalt can play way more aggressive because of it. It's on the support. Gazalt is going to get almost no value out of that red buff. I mean, Nami auto attacks do hurt with that empowered W if she gets it, but I mean, just look, Gazalt's trying to trade with the red buff and losing the trade pretty bad. That feels so bad. And we talked about Array being sort of the key carry to make things happen across the map early on in the game. He's going to be set behind now because he lost out on getting that early red buff. Maybe he can pull it back. Maybe it won't be that big of a deal. But right now, jungle tempo definitely in favor of a Nemesis, taking way more camps early on, moving into the Scuttle Crab, about to secure it for himself if he can. But actually not finding himself with too much of a farm lead because he did skip over his Raptor camp so far. We might see a bit of a jungle clash.
Yeah, perhaps. But I think in the end, still bad for Array, right? He loses out on the XP.
Always.
Loses out on the HP. And it will make his ganks a lot worse, right? Right with the slow is, meaningful. Especially on the early game. Happy Buck takes the Deadly Flourish, but doesn't get rooted here in the bot lane. His ganks are going to be a little bit worse. He's able to pick up the sword, but he's very low in the jungle. Nemesis, a lot healthier here, trading up. Fish and Valor in the mid lane. Losing some health, but just healing it back up with a bit of a transfusion there for himself. And Nemesis, once he clears this side of his jungle, is going to be reasonably far ahead.
Yeah, Array also down a level for now. Moving on to his Gromp, going to smite that away and get himself to level 3. But Scuttle Crab started up already for Nemesis. He's going to take away the bot Scuttle Crab. Maybe look to punish Tacos and Gazalt as well, who have been pushing off that pressure from the red buff in the bot lane, doing quite well for themselves. But a nice bubble going to miss, actually. Not going to quite land from Gazalt. Nemesis heading down is going to be spotted on a ward. So
gives it
Gazalt and Tacos, able to back away there.
Red buff gone as well from Gazalt, so that is no longer a factor in this bot lane. Other than the XP, Gazalt almost an entire level, in the original level at least, ahead. You do get almost a full one for that in the top lane. Meanwhile, Donald Trump getting himself away, gets knocked up by Array. Slim Kim now trying to go under the tower with the bear trap on a rope. Is going to get dismounted, I do feel, but I don't think Donald Trump's going to be going down anytime soon. Walks back in, though. Flash from Array. Oh, no, that's not what you want to see. First blood in favor of Donald Trump.
Oh, it was so close to being really good. That was so close to being really good for Bucky's Atmosphere. Right? They get the flash out of Donald Trump. They get Slim Kim. Sure, he's dismounted, but he'll remount for certain before Donald Trump has any way to answer that, right? Donald Trump is sort of stuck with low HP in that lane. Slim Kim can get his HP back and do it pretty easily and reliably versus a Mordekaiser. But now a kill donated over to Donald's. Slim Kim might try to look for a 1v1 here.
Goes on to the remount. Is the shield going to be available for Donald Trump? Can he get him off the mount? Yes, he can. The Q comes down. That's the mace. The auto protect not quite going to be enough. Slim Kim walking away with single-digit HP. Dominance being exerted in the top lane right now by Donald Trump.
Neutral laner, too, not doing so well in this mid lane either. Running out of mana, forced to back off and take a bit of a negative trade there. A little bit of a repeat gank in the top lane. Array is not trying to let this grudge go away, but he's going to not quite get it.
Ketamine taking a lot of damage down here. Fourth shot on the Pappy Bucky as well. Taco's eating a lot of minion damage, though. Nemesis on the way as well. Forces the Bucky's Atmosphere to carry to back himself away.
And Nemesis heading back down, but really it's the dragon that is in his sights. First dragon of the game spawned onto the map, onto the rift 20 seconds ago.
Ooh, Ketamine.
Bot lane pressure. Oh, the deadly flourish.
That's the flash. The bubble lands on the Ketamine. The fourth shot. Taco's the flash for himself forward as well. Picks up the kill. Dragon should go over though still for DAW.
Picks up the kill. Not a terrible trade for Bucky's Atmosphere. They are going to lose the dragon, like you said, but it's taken Nemesis and Fish and Valor a while to pick up that dragon. And in the meantime, they're losing out on a couple kills worth of gold, right? Kill donated over onto Ketamine from the bot lane. Taco's picking up that one. Did burn his flash for it. And there's a lot of potential that he could get punished for that in the future, right? Immobile Jhin, AD carry without flash. Giz also without flash. But for now, level 6 on neutral laner in the mid lane. Got the Nether Grasp available. It looks like Array thinking about coming over this wall, or burrowing under this wall, rather, to try to find a kill. But Nemesis hanging around nearby, going to try to get his Raptors. We're actually seeing a bit of a farm, the farm being pretty close between these junglers, despite the fact that Array was slowed down by his red buff being taken away. I'm a little bit surprised by that.
True. But alas, it is what it is, I guess, on this front. Fish and Valor also built a cull. We didn't talk about that at all, but really going for the farming build here on Vladimir. Once he gets that 100 CS, that's going to be another nice injection of gold into his kit. Neutral laner could be in a little bit of trouble. Smokescreen onto him. Ketamine is here as well, but a nice silence will deny any follow-up.
And keep in mind, Ultimate is available for neutral laser, but I want to highlight, you're talking about the importance of not getting a Vladimir a free lane. Well, Fish and Valor currently sitting on the most, or close to the most CS in the game, almost tied for it with Tacos and Slim Kim. He's basically where he wants to be. That's not necessarily unexpected for these very early stages of the game, because neutral laner hasn't had his ultimate so far to threaten any sort of a kill from a gank or a turret dive, but he does have it now. So with any luck from Bucky's Atmosphere, they should be able to start turning this mid lane around, and Fish and Valor will start feeling the pressure in a big way. But he's got Nemesis hanging around. Nemesis has recognized the threat of this Malzahar. And if you notice, from the time neutral laser hit level 6, Nemesis has been hanging around this mid lane. He was there in case Array burrowed under that Raptor wall to look for the dive. And he was there just now to freeze that wave by Fish and Valor's turret and keep it in a safe place so that he is going to be safe from a gank from Array. I like the mid jungle synergy here from Nemesis and Fish and Valor. They are playing around each other very well, and specifically Nemesis doing such a good job of keeping his mid laner safe.
Doing a good job recognizing where the real threat is in this game to stop that scaling, which is Fish and Valor getting shut down by a plethora of ganks, trying to deny those out. Fish and Valor now going for a bit of a trade. That's a nice empowered Q. 250 damage. That is definitely nothing to sneeze at. Is going to get hit, unfortunately, by the dot, though, from Malzahar.
And turret shot mid lane out to the neutral laner. He's going to be feeling that one. Array hanging around towards the bot side of the map. We do see level 6 is available now for Gizalt and Taco, so Tidal Wave could follow this up.
Gizalt takes a lot of damage. Taco throws in the dancing grenade. Fourth shot not able to come out. The Nami just going to have to live with a bit of a lower health bar, but we could see a gank come through. Array is behind. Tremor Sense seeing those minions. Pappy Buck and Uncle Ketamine very far forward. Ultimate available from Array. Surely this will be the kill. There we go. Over the wall. Pappy Buck flashed himself away. Gets away from the deadly flourish as well. But Uncle Ketamine, I think, is just going to be the sacrifice. Again, under the tower goes Array. No way to even trade that back. Pappy Buck almost dies as well. A nice kill there for Bucky's Atmosphere.
Yeah, good call from Array to back out safely instead of continuing to greed for the kill, because Nemesis would have been there to shut him down had he decided that Pappy Buck looked a little bit tasty. Now neutral laner forcing the pull from Fish and Valor. Might see another grasp come through here.
There's that ultimate. Fish and Valor getting very low very quickly. The Q to get a little bit of healing flashes away from the Q. That should be enough. Nemesis now going to get engagement in the jungle by Array. Taking a lot of damage, but he's able to flash himself out to safety. This teleport coming through as well. Pappy Buck trying to collapse in this. This could go all in favor of Dragons right now. A nice teleport. Not matched by Slim Kim. He doesn't have that ability available. A nice kill for Donald Trump on the teleport. 2-0 now on Mordekaiser.
2-0 on Mordekaiser. That's a little bit scary. You want to see Slim Kim winning the side lane. He has finished the Tiamat, so he's at a pretty strong spot. Now neutral laner finding himself in a bunch of trouble in the mid lane.
Fish and Valor in the mid going in onto this one. Can they get the kill over the Vladimir? Yes, they can. Fish and Valor picks up his first kill.
Fish and Valor getting that kill gold, getting his cull stacked up as well. Honestly, that's pretty terrifying for Bucky's Atmosphere. And that was just disrespectful or maybe oblivious from neutral laner. there's no reason he should have had to have died there. We had just seen Donald pick up that kill in the river onto Array. We had seen Ketamine pick up the kill onto Gizalt. We knew, or I say we, of course the casters knew, but they should have known, Bucky's should have known where Dragons were, that he was getting collapsed on mid. Now bot lane, a nice bubble. Pappy might be in trouble, but he does have the heal to keep himself alive.
Gets himself out from this one. I think the next major fight coming up very shortly could be this Dragon or over the Herald, but I think the Dragon, 15 seconds. Pappy Buck should be able to get back there in time, but we might see the fight on that one, depending on if the Dragons want to contest.
We will see. For now, Donald looks like he is trying to find himself a 1v1 in the top lane. Does have the Death Realm available, but is going to miss the Death's Grasp and decide against it. Meanwhile, by the Dragon Pit, it is Bucky's Atmosphere that are starting up this Dragon. They have the numbers advantage for now. They have recognized the Pappy Buck recalled and started up this Dragon. No Hemoplague for Vision Valor either. I don't know if you win this.
Going in very aggressive. I don't think Dragons of the West are ever going to win this fight. Stranglethorns goes down. That could be the end of the Rek'Sai auto attack, and to secure that one for Ketamine. Vision Valor trying to go back in, but the Nether Grasp is just going to shut him down. Bullet time. Pappy Buck way too far forward when he uses that one. He's going to fall at the same time. It's going to be a 4-for-1, and the Dragon going over likely in favor of Bucky's Atmosphere. Dragons, you can't be fighting that.
Yeah, top lane. I think that's just to get back to lane on time. I don't think we're going to see a death come out of this. I could be wrong, though. Flash is forced out.
Flash out from Donald Trump. I think he's going to be in trouble here once the bear trap and a rope comes forward. The Flash as well. No way to get out of the situation. Shut down.
And, okay, I'll give Donald a pass. I did not expect that much damage from Slimkin either. I thought he would be okay there. On the rest of the map, though, Dragons of the West, you have just got to know you can't go for that fight. You don't have to go for that fight. You got the first Dragon. You have the scaling team once again. You don't have to force a fight over Dragon Pit. And guess what? Fish and Valor had no Hemoplague available. Pappy Buck was also not there. Vlad with no ultimate, Misfortune, not in the fight. That's basically a 3v4 that you're picking for no reason. Or maybe even a 2v4 that you're picking for no reason. Why would you fight that fight if you don't have to? Bucky's Atmosphere, win the fight, win the Dragon. They are in a much better spot than they were a few minutes ago, although it's still a 90 CS Vlad who is approaching his Spellbinder being finished. The call also almost finished for Fish and Valor as well. So I by no means think Dragons of the West are in a bad situation, but Bucky's Atmosphere do find some wins across the map. They're starting to win the side lane. Slim Kim doing quite well in the 1v1. We're beginning to see the Malzahar Rek'Sai power really come online also. The Nether Grasp just shutting down Fish and Valor, who, by the way, is not opting for a QSS yet, has built no magic resist at all. So there's signs that this game will go far better for Bucky's than it did yesterday, or than it did last game.
Yesterday. There are signs indeed. A lot of the kills piled onto Tacos, though, on the Jhin right now. 4 kills in the Jhin, and that is a little worrying against a Vladimir Mordekaiser. I do think because this Jhin might just not be allowed to exist in team fights if someone's able to get onto him. If Donald Trump takes him to the Death Realm, surely that will be the end of him. Also, if Fish and Valor is able to make it into the back line, maybe with a QSS, maybe just with a nice pool or something, I think Tacos could die very, very quickly. There's no Tom Kench like we saw in game number 1 to survive any of that burst. Maybe we're going to get healed by Gazol, but that's not likely going to be enough. Ketamine now going to die once again, almost for sure. Gets hit by the Aqua Prism. Very, very low. Deadly Flourish is enough. 1 more autos should be sufficient to kill Tacos. Takes a lot of damage in return from that bullet time. Pappy Buck not having the flash available to get over the wall. Nemesis not going to chase as well.
Worth mentioning is Tacos could build a QSS for himself as well. I think, building that item to make sure that he's safe from Donald's Death Realm and to make sure that the Vladimir is going to just be doing a little bit less damage to him, right? Get some magic resist on his person. I don't think it's a bad idea. Conversely, I think maybe he could look to build a Hex Drinker and have that be his magic resist item, being that Tacos is so far ahead. If he doesn't get bursted, he will likely just sustain and heal through all the damage being done to him from Fleet Footwork and from Legend Bloodline, which I'm guessing he has because that's pretty standard for most Jins to run. I don't actually know for sure. Maybe I can check. I'm not sure if I can check.
Yep, you can. He is.
Yeah, so that healing will become pretty significant later on to the game. I will say I want to see some Grievous Wounds start to come out from Bucky's. I don't think they did it yet. I think we're at the point where Fish and Valor is still weak enough that it's not necessarily warranted to get that Grievous Wounds coming through, but I want to start seeing Executioners. Maybe on Slim Kim, maybe on Tacos, maybe Morel and Omicron coming through for neutral laner as well. We didn't see a single Grievous Wounds item for the entire game last game against Fish and Valor's Vlad, and you saw how that game ended. It wasn't pretty. Of course, that wasn't only because there were no Grievous Wounds to cut through the healing, but I think that was a big part of it.
I agree. I think it was a huge part of that game. There was no way to stop Fish and Valor in those fights. We saw, I think that most I saw was like a 700 HP heal. And that's not something that you can really survive when he's doing that every 5 seconds in a fight with 4 Ocean Dragons and the Soul. Obviously, coming on top of that, you needed to have that healing reduction. I would like to see that again. And I think they just need it sooner rather than later. I think the fact that they didn't in the last game could be indicative that we won't see it again. Unless that was something that was pointed out to them by someone in between games.
I hope so.
Yeah, you would hope. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, flash in onto Fish and Valor. That's another grasp as well. The pool comes out. Not going to be enough. Donald Trump has arrived, but he's in a 1 versus 3. This is not a situation he wants to find himself in. He does get silenced up, tries to throw out that claw, but I don't feel that's going to be enough. Doesn't go to the Death Realm. He does find himself in the Death Chamber, however.
That's just lights out from Dragon to the West. A well-executed play from Array and Neutral Laner. Maybe a bit of greed from Fish and Valor, or a little disrespect and not getting his pool off in time, not expecting Array to flash onto him like he did, but Array did flash onto him. Now the 2v2 bot lane, another bubble lands. Gizalt is just not missing.
Ketamine once again could be in trouble. Gizalto so low. One more auto attack from the minion might not be enough. Will not take him down. Tacos now has the run of the mill. Pappy by 2 more autos could be the end of that. But it looks like that's going to be the end of the auto attack time. It is now the curtain call. It's been called out. Who's got to take it? Who's going to be attending the show? Pappy Bucky's going to be attending the Death Chamber. He goes down.
Tickets are sold out now. And Pappy Buck bought all the tickets. That's a little bit sad. I wanted to go see the show. I guess I did kind of see the show. Anyway, Pappy dying. Another 2v2 win bot lane for Bucky's Atmosphere. It was close. It wasn't pretty, but Gizalt and Tacos come out on top again after a nice bubble from the resident fish lady herself. And now Herald dropped mid lane, Dragon being swarmed over by members of Blue Side as well. This is just wins across the map for Bucky's Atmosphere. And Fish and Valor and Nemesis forced to dedicate resources towards wave clearing mid lane, trying to prevent that Herald from taking yet another turret. 3rd Dragon of the game easily getting picked up for Bucky's Atmosphere. And they are cementing their gold gap increase. Or they are, I don't know what I was trying to say, but the gist of it is 4,000 gold now separating these teams. Bucky's Atmosphere just growing their lead, not by leaps and bounds, but consistently, steadily over the last few fights.
Yep, they absolutely are. I do feel that Dragon's scales better. I think the Vladimir is still a good win condition, but they need to get back in this game soon. They can't bleed out too far. Vladimir cannot pull you back from a 10,000 gold lead. I think before the next Dragon, Dragons need to find some kind of a way back into this game, whether it's a pick, whether it's a nice shutdown. I don't know what it needs to be, but they have to come up with something soon, or I think they risk falling too far behind to be able to get back into the game.
Speaking of falling behind, charge!
There is a charge. Pappy Bug now trying to get himself away. Array, though, in all sorts of trouble. Bullet time comes across. That's a shutdown. Comes in favor of a Nemesis. Caster Curse on in full effect for Bucky's Atmosphere right now. There is the dismount. Slim Kim now could be in some trouble, but a tidal wave to get him away from that situation. That is 1 kill. Picked up the shutdown in favor of Dragons of the West.
And to that, I would just say, huh? Bucky's, why you pick, why? What was the point of that? What are you doing? Charging blindly into a 2v3, not necessarily the best play ever, but I'm still in a strong spot, I think. Although donating top lane turret over to Fish and Valor, he's going to go ahead and pick this up. Not necessarily the smartest move that Bucky's could have made. The gold gap between these teams shrinking to about 2,000 after a nice shutdown onto Array and after top lane turret being donated over. Dragons of the West still clearly in this game. I want to talk about the kill spread because you mentioned a little bit ago that it was all on Tacos for Bucky's and that was a little bit scary. I agree that is scary, but I also think that there's no situation where a late game fight is not scary for Bucky's, and I think having those kills on Tacos makes that fight less scary. I think Tacos is the strongest, most potent mid to late game option that Bucky's have to bring wins to these fights, and having him ahead early means that it will be a little longer before Dragons of the West do start to outscale. Because I'm starting to think, like, who would you rather have the kills on? Slim Kim? Array? Neutral Laner? These guys are not going to really be able to carry fights the same way that Tacos will. And they're not going to have that same degree of potency later on into the game that Tacos will. The Rek'Sai is going to fall off. The Kled is going to fall off.
Might be falling himself off the map right now. The Neutral Laner blast guns over the wall. Nemesis, no chance to get away. Array picks up that kill. Fish and Valor ghosting himself out to safety.
Ghosting himself out to safety for now. But next time he won't have Ghost, and he might not be quite as lucky. Neutral Laner deciding to hold on to his flash and not invest his ultimate just yet. I do want to point out still no QSS on any member of Dragons of the West, and Fish and Valorant is no exception to that rule. He's got a Spellbinder finished. He's got a needlessly large rod. He is building into a death cap, but no QSS means that he has got to always be terrified of what neutral laner can do to him in a team fight. And I think that might be a bit of an oversight from his Vladimir, right? You've got to have a way to deal with that suppression. And if you don't, then all the AP in the world is not going to make a difference, because you have got to be able to move to do the damage, or you cannot do the damage.
Facts right there, sir. Uncle Ketamine is in a real rough place right now. Goes down Array. The one shot comes through. Charge in the mid lane. Not quite going to find Pappy Buck, but the Nether Grasp will. The AD carry for Dragons of the West is gone.
Godlike onto Tacos now 7-0 on this Jhin. He's got a second item finished, Storm Razor and a Rapid Fire Cannon. He is ridiculously strong. Hard to overstate how strong this man is, by the way. I haven't talked about it enough. A 50 CS lead also for this Jhin in the bot lane. 174 CS. He's got 8,800 gold. He has the most gold in the game by 1.5 miles. The next closest is Slim Kim, who's got about 1,000 gold less than him. And that's a lot of gold.
Nemesis.
This stage of the game. Nemesis walking up to the same bush bait.
Oh, that's a lot of damage. Array is starting to really hit hard on this Rek'Sai.
Yeah, he's got a second item as well. Edge and Knight picked up for this Land Shark, and Array is feeling like he's got a lot of autonomy now, able to go in for these picks, especially with his trusty Fish Lady by his side. And Dragon spawning soon as well. Nemesis not going to be quite back on the map in time to really establish dominance over the area. He will be alive for the Dragon to spawn. I don't know if he'll get there in time, but Bucky's Atmosphere, they have total control over the area.
Neutral laner in all sorts of trouble. Pappy Buck could be falling in exchange. No, he will not. Nice kill picked up there for the AD carry.
Oh, that's huge. Actually, that's really big. Dragon is spawning on the map, and maybe off of that, Dragons of the West can try to contest this objective, but honestly, I guess they still can't. Fish and Valor on the top side of the map. He doesn't have teleport. He can't get to a fight. Now, Pappy Buck also taken very, very low. Going to have to reset after that engage. So, no harm, no foul. Bucky's Atmosphere. They lose their mid laner, but they pick up their third dragon of the game anyway. They are one dragon closer to an Ocean Soul, and they are still in a pretty okay spot. I believe also the kill... I think the kill got donated over to Ketamine instead of Pappy, which either way...
Pappy got it.
Either way, neither Misfortune nor Zyra is a massive late game win condition for this team. Ideally, you probably want the gold onto the Vladimir or maybe the Mordekaiser for the 1v1 in the side lane. I didn't expect this necessarily, but Bucky's Atmosphere, screw the side lane. They're going straight to this Baron. They are starting it up big time. They have been spotted out by a blue trinket ward. And Dragons of the West rushing to this Baron to force them off it. Bucky's going to have to reset, regroup, recall, and give up their shots at a Baron, at least for now.
I don't hate that call, right? If they don't see you do it, maybe you can sneak it away. As soon as they know, just get off it straight away. You lose a little bit of farm in the side lanes maybe, but not a whole lot is lost for that attempt. And if you get it, that's a massive boon to your team. So a nice look by them and very smart to just get off it immediately. You don't want to be fighting for that objective at this early in the game. Take too much damage from the Baron. The debuff is just a little bit too strong there. So nice little macro play right now. And I think a very strong macro game so far for Bucky's Atmosphere. They're playing very much stronger than Dragons of the West are, at least in that regard.
I agree, and I will say, through the games that Bucky's Atmosphere have looked strong in, Game 1 and Game 3 here today, I have been very impressed by their macro play and their ability to play fights around objectives exceptionally well, how to slow play fights around the Baron, around the Dragon. This team has been excelling at that. Let's see if they can keep it up. Right now, Gazalt might be about to get caught out.
Could be in a bit of a sticky situation, or is it Fish and Valor that's getting caught out? Neutral laners teleported in. Ghost from Fish and Valor trying to get himself away, but here comes the Kled as well. Numbers advantage so far for Bucky's Atmosphere. Neutral laner goes in Nether Grasp, but he does have the Hemo play onto him as well. Flash over the wall from Fish and Valor trying to get himself away. He is still living. Gonna have to toss himself another heal though if he wants to help himself out in the health department. Array likely to go down in the death realm. Fish and Valor now up against the AD carry. Definitely not a fight that he's going to win. Donald Trump now caught between a rock and a hard place, trying to go back in for a little bit more, but it's just a 2 versus 4. Nemesis so low as well. The pull back in. Gazalt could be going down, but a nice summoner heal to keep him alive. Donald Trump not long for the rift. He goes down. Nemesis may have stepped too far forward. Maybe could be going down here. Nice dash over the wall. Nemesis able to break the chain in time to get himself away, but a huge win for Bucky's Atmosphere.
4 for 1 bot lane turret now under siege, and I think maybe Bucky's Atmosphere could have gone for a Baron pick here, but they are just opting to try to break open the base of Dragons of the West instead. Nemesis getting caught by a bear trap, not going to quite die to that one, but a deadly flourish. Trying to finish off the job.
Could be in trouble though if he gets hit up by this root. Taco's gonna be going down. This could be a huge shutdown. Goes over. Who's gonna get it? It's gonna be Pappy. About 1,000 gold in his pocket.
1,000 gold in his pocket, turret saved as well, although the story is a bit different in the mid lane. Slim Kim gonna pick up that inhibitor turret and get himself out to safety. Might hang around for this red buff a little bit too long. He's getting teleported on from Donald. I don't know if he realizes it though.
Slim Kim could be in a little bit of trouble here. I think can get out with the blast cone potentially over this wall, but Donald Trump is there. Might be starting up the Baron as he goes for this kill. Slim Kim tries to get away. Another bear trap and gonna pull Donald Trump closer, able to escape it. This could be the Baron for the Dragons.
It could be the Baron. Taco's dead for some time, and keep in mind, most of the gold from Bucky's atmosphere is on this Jhin. We talked about this in game 1, the dangers, the perils of having all your gold on one champion, of having the 9-0 Hecarim. If he dies, that's very scary. You lose so much map pressure, and now Bucky's atmosphere, they're the ones losing the pressure.
Stranglethorns already goes down, though. Array just going to go for the one-shot onto Ketamine. The Baron goes over. Who's going to pick that one up? It is going to be Dragons, but a disaster in this fight just waiting to happen. They go down. 1, 2, 3, 4. They are gone. Fish and Valor tries to get away, gets stunned up by the Deadly Flourish. No chance to escape this situation. You'd have to feel.
Just give us some time.
Wait for it. Fish and Valor running himself away the charge. Trying to get up
it took some time, but he was going to go down. I thought maybe that fight was a chance for Dragons to get back into the series because Tacos was not there. But when you funnel into the Baron pit, it becomes more like a killing field when you have so much AoE damage from a Malzahar, from a Nami, from even a Rek'Sai, even Tiamat, right, from Slim Kim. All that AoE damage combined with a Baron when you have no real frontline to tank the Baron. It's just so much damage. Now the inhibitor turrets, Nexus turrets under siege. Bucky's atmosphere looking to end the game.
This combo, Array goes very low. Gonna get taken down by Pappy Buck. You'd have to feel very shortly. Donald Trump picks up that kill. That's one back. We'll see if this fight does continue. Looks like for now, everybody backs away.
Game is not quite over. Kills traded from Pappy and Array. That means there is one jungler alive, and it is not Array. It is not Bucky's Atmosphere's jungler. They have this dragon, this fourth all-important Ocean Soul dragon spawning onto the rifts, and Smite advantage is in favor of Dragons of the West. Is that enough to overcome an 8,000 gold deficit? I highly doubt that it is, but they are going to try, walking right up to this bush.
Bushbait Nemesis going to get rooted up and taken down almost immediately. Rebound comes through for Slim Kim as well. That's another grasp going very low. Is the Vladimir taken down immediately? Fish and Valor not having the same success that he did in the last game. Slim Kim now into the death realm up against an all Trump. We'll see who wins that fight out. Tacos picks up the kill on his opposite number. Slim Kim does go down. Tacos should be able to kite out Donald Trump very sufficiently though in this situation. One more mace could spell the end for a neutral laner. Don't think it's going to be enough. No, it is not. Tacos picks up that kill. That should be the soul.
Should be the soul. Ketamine is nowhere nearby, not going to be able to contest. And Tacos has got his fourth shot to do just a ton of damage, an unfair amount of damage to this dragon. All in all, Bucky's Atmosphere, they are in a very strong spot, right? They pick up another teamfight win. The gold gap actually has narrowed a bit. It was about 8,000 to 9,000 gold. Now it's about 7,000. So that's something that Dragons of the West can look forward to. They picked up some shutdown kills. They got the Vladimir scaling starting to come online. They got third item picked up for Donald as well. On the Mordekaiser, you can see him starting to get the better of Slim Kim in this 1v1 if he takes him to the death realm. But honestly, I don't think it's going to be enough because there is an 11-1 Jhin who is about to have both sums available and alive for Bucky's Atmosphere. There is an Ocean Soul in the pockets of all of these champions. Kled, Malzahar, Rek'Sai, Jhin, Nami, so much healing going to start coming through. And we're going to be wondering why Dragons of the West are the ones not building Grievous Wounds, although I guess they actually are. Thornmail picked up for Donald. Executioner's calling for Nemesis as well. So there's at least some options on this team to cut through the healing. You can see the beginnings of Umbrella and Omicron about to be picked up for Ketamine also, but this fight is it's going to start. It's going to start soon. Tidal Wave dropped from Gizalt, trying to find a way to force open the space. I think Bucky's are making a mistake right now. They have the Baron buff. They don't have the Baron, actually. They have the Dragon Soul. They're trying to NA ram it down mid to end the game. I think that is not the right play. You got the Super Minions pushing mid. Let them pressure. Go to a side lane. Go to top lane. Go to bot lane. Break open another inhibitor. And then play for Dragon or Baron. And then end the game. This NA ram is a little scary. It means you are giving Dragons of the West only one avenue of threat, basically. All you have to worry about is mid lane. You could be pouring 3 waves of supers into their base. Instead, you're doing 1. And you're essentially nullifying that wave. Oh, here we go.
Here we go, Baymax. This is going to be the game-ending fight, likely one way or another. That's the first kill. Donald Trump already gone. Fish and Valor into the backline. No, that's a huge bullet time at the same time, doing so much damage to the backline. Fish and Valor picks up a huge kill. Dragons to the west. They're trying to stand and fight against this Ocean's Hill. Pavic Buck very low as well. Slim Kim able to pick up the kill on the 80 carry, but he is going to pay for it with his life. Very likely Fish and Valor cutting across the back. Does so much damage, picking up 2 kills. He might have 3 in this one as well. Gazole and Taco's the only members left alive into the pool. Taco's going to go down. That's the shutdown in favor of Uncle Ketamine. The double kill for Vladimir as well. It's an ace to come through. 5 for 2. The Dragons are not willing to roll over and die.
Don't NA-ram. That's the only way that happens. You have this massive lead and you blow it by funneling it down mid for no reason. Send Slim Kim to a side lane with teleport, send everyone else to the other side lane to break open those Nexus turrets, those inhibitor turrets, and that's all you have to do because you have the mid lane supers that are pressuring. That's a free wave of pressure, right? Mid lane supers are going to push no matter what. You don't have to send somebody there to push. They will push anyway. Someone is going to have to answer them from Dragons to the west, or they're going to start chipping away at those Nexus turrets. That's basically, if you are funneling down the only wave where you've already taken an inhibitor, you are essentially giving away a free person. You're turning what could be basically a 6v5 back into a 5v5, and it's a 5v5 where you have the enemy team fighting with their turrets, and you are not. Why would you do that? You don't have to do that. Bucky's playing a little bit too fast and loose, and they might throw the game. They still have a lead, but they use so many summoner spells too. Flash burn from Slim Kim, flash burn from Tacos de Arena, and so many kills donated over to Fish and Valor, right? He is now a 3-item Vlad, and by the way, finished his QSS, finished his Merc Treads. He is becoming a lot harder to kill. And just like that, I wonder if Dragons of the West might not be the ones now favored to win this game.
I don't think I would go that far, Baymax. They need to win many, many more fights like that if they actually want to get back into the game. That being said, that was a huge throw. I agree with your analysis of that. I don't think you ever want to just be running down the same one that has super minions. That goes against every, textbook idea about League of Legends ending games. The Elder Dragon up in 2 minutes. We'll see if the Dragons of the West are able to survive that long. Maybe go for a fight around that objective.
We will see. Baron spawned on the map as well. Hypothetically, should be I think the best jungle objective for actually ending out this game. If you are Bucky's Atmosphere, I think the Baron, the pushing power you get from the Baron, just should make taking out these inhibitor turrets and taking out all of the turrets that Dragons of the West have ridiculously easy. But you got to win a fight. And Bucky's Atmosphere, they lost the last fight. Can they win one around the Baron pit? They're getting flanked potentially. What's going to happen here?
Find out. I don't know about this positioning right now. For the Dragons of the West, Array takes so much damage, but he can go into the ultimate. Look, keep your eyes on Fish and Valor. What can he get done? Bullet time, not going to get anything done. Back to an all drop in the 1v1. This is not necessarily the fight that we want to be watching, but it is what the camera decides that we want to be watching. Nemesis getting himself away. Fish and Valor could be in some trouble now with that bear trap on a rope on his back. Does he have the pool available? Does he have the heal available? Throws himself one more with the Empowered Q. Actually is not able to get that off. Gets suppressed immediately. QSS with the shot comes through. Shut down in favor of Malzahar. This game surely is now over, Baymax. Dragons of the West, they put up a valiant defense, but Harina does so much damage. The tacos of, I should say, on this situation. Inhibitor going to go down. They have the minions with them. It's the ace that comes through. The clean ace at that 5-0. It looked a little bit hairy, but in the end, it is going to be Bucky's Atmosphere winning their first game in Style Esports.
Bucky's Atmosphere. They do it. It wasn't super pretty. Honestly, it was a pretty clean game. I got a little bit tilted at the NA ramming that happened, but it was a pretty clean game for the most part. And other than that big macro decision, the big macro mistake, which I think they also made in game 1, that just didn't punish them because of how far ahead they were. In fact, I might be wrong about this, but I'm pretty sure that throughout that entire series, even though Bucky's Atmosphere won, I don't think they ever took a bot or top lane inhibitor, turret, or inhibitor. I think it was all mid lane, both games. And I think in game 1, they also entered down in 1 just because of how far ahead they were. I could be wrong about that, but that if you're a coach for Bucky's Atmosphere, that's a big no-no. You should probably talk to them about that. But anyway, other than that, super clean game 1, super clean game 3. I am very impressed. It wasn't perfect. There were mistakes being made, but all in all, definitely a strong showing for a team's very first time here in Style Esports. I would not be disappointed with that outcome at all if I was a player on Bucky's Atmosphere.
No, I absolutely would not. And Baymax, I think we are going to have a short interview here at the end of this game with a winning member. Who do you fancy chatting to?
Ooh, I don't know, man. I don't know. Who do you think deserves it? Tacos had a strong game 1 and an even stronger game 3. I think it's got to be him, honestly.
Okay, I'm going to go move him into the prep channel so he doesn't randomly join in here. And I'm going to go chat with him for like 15 seconds. So I'm going to leave it up to you to say something creative until we come back.
All right. Well, I can explain a little bit of my rationale for why I would pick Tacos, right? He was the Senna that brought so much control through game number 1. And I thought in game 1, it wasn't quite as flashy, but he brought a ton of sustained fights that was desperately needed. His ults were very, very strong. The Dawning Shadow usage was good. I liked his team fighting. I thought his kiting looked good. And in game 3, of course, I mean, explanation is hardly needed, but 12 and 2 on this Jhin, he absolutely popped off. Did step a little bit too far forward a couple times and die, but overall, a very strong performance against a team that had a lot of ways to kill him, a lot of threats to kill him with. So I definitely think picking Tacos as MVP was a worthwhile decision here, and I think we might have him with us right now.
Indeed,
nope, not quite yet.
No, I'm moving him in. I'm back, and we are now joined by Tacos de Arena in the call. Congratulations on the win, sir. How are you feeling after that series?
Pretty good. I'm still kind of shaky, honestly, after the last one. Felt a little pressured, you know?
Yeah, that was definitely a wild game, I think, kind of back and forth, as was the whole series. But you guys did end up with the W in the end, which is, of course, what matters. I'm going to hand you over to my co-caster, Baymax, for a couple of questions about that game.
Yeah, I'll just ask a couple questions. First and foremost, congratulations on the win. This was your first series ever played with us here at Style Esports, and you guys kind of popped off, kind of won a little bit. So congratulations. That's got to feel pretty good.
Yeah, thank you. It feels pretty awesome, honestly. It was nice to pop off like on the stream.
Yeah. Well, I thought you did well in both games, right? But the first game, it was a little bit more. Yeah, tell me about the first game, because you guys got the Senna pick. What did you think about the draft in the first game? What do you think about how you did?
I think our draft was really solid in the first game because if I remember correctly, like they had kind of like a pick comp going on, but they didn't really play it right. And then if specifically in bot lane, honestly, the main reason we won is because at least I felt like I had the wave control the majority of the time. I know there's like one point where I was like 40 CS up on the enemy ADC. So they like the entire time we had tempo control on the bot lane, and like we would hold it until like something like Dragon was up, then we'd hard push, and they just have no chance to like contest it at that point, you know? So I think that was the main reason we won bot lane that game.
All right, I want to ask you about game 2 and 3 sort of collectively, because the Jhin pick, you guys picked the Jhin in game 2. It didn't go quite as well. You picked it again in game 3. What do you think changed? Why were you confident in picking it again?
So as far as like while I was confident in picking again, the bans were like Senna, Caitlyn, and Ashe. Oh no, it was Senna. Something.
I think you're right. I think Senna, Caitlyn, and Ashe were all banned away in game 3. Okay. I think.
Yeah, and then
game 2 you played against the Caitlyn.
Right. So in game 3, I was just confident in that the Jhin outscales the Ashe, and honestly, like I feel like Jin's utility can match Ashe's to a certain point. Like especially because I was going Stormrazor Rush, so I had a utility with me, so I wasn't like scared of picking it in the third game at all. As far as the second game, the reason it didn't work, I don't think it was a Jhin pick. It was more so I think we had a bad draft altogether. Like I don't think the blitz was right, and maybe we didn't like use Morgana properly.
Okay. Yeah, I wanted to open up a little bit more and dive deeper into the game 2, because I also agree. I hated your draft in game 2, and the reason is because I'm trying to wrap my mind around why you guys picked the Morgana so early as a flex mid pick, and also why you gave it away so early, because you picked the Morgana second, and then like right after that you picked the Blitzcrank in the same first pick rotation. What was the logic there?
From what I remember, I think we just wanted to give we wanted to give top counter at least, right? So we were kind of like weren't thinking about, oh, like, you know, why not just pick support here? But I think where we really messed up is that well, I mean, first of all, like our support's really confident on Blitz. I don't think that was the issue. I just think the way they played it was that Blitz never had an opportunity to hook outside of like 2 times, and we got all in both times, I think. So I don't know, it's just really bad, honestly. Okay. And as far as the mid goes, I honestly don't know what happened. I just think I don't think Moore can pressure Vlad too well, and he just auto.
Oh no, I think it's a horrible matchup. That's part of why. Like, I feel like you would only pick Morg mid if you wanted, like, cause you picked it so early. I feel like you only pick it if you either had a counter pick, which you guys didn't because you didn't know they're mid laner, or if you knew you wanted to flex it and wanted to hide your support. But you guys didn't do that. So I was like, oh, wait, what are they doing? Why? I don't get it. But thank you for answering the questions. I'm going to throw it back to Carl. He probably is going to have one or two more for you. But this will probably be the last time we talk to each other. So thank you so much for coming. And I appreciate your answers. I appreciate you talking with us. And congratulations on the win. Back to you, Carl.
Thank you very much, Baymax. I just have one more question and then one more free form question, which I guess makes two questions. If you do the quick math on that one, this was your first game in the league. You're new to the league this season here in the Piltover group, which is the 4th of our 9 groups here in Style Esports in Season 5. I don't know how much you guys have kind of checked out the rest of the competition in the group, but just generally, how are you feeling about the upcoming season? How confident are you can, get top 4, make playoffs, potentially contend for the title of this group?
Well, honestly, I'm still pretty nervous. Like, it was the first time I played like in a tournament type game. So I just I didn't really know what to expect, and I had nerves going in. But honestly, I'm super confident. Not only am I super confident that we can win, like, for sure. Like, I haven't seen the Western group, but I'm not to say that I'm cocky, but more so that I believe in my team. Like, I feel like we have what it takes. The main things we may have to like work on is maybe draft a bit, and then maybe the comps we do pick, play them better, if that makes sense. Like, play to our strengths better.
Playing to strengths definitely makes a lot of sense for the most part. That was pretty much the only like group related question I have, is it's only the first week of the season, but I will open the floor up to you. Are there any shout outs, people you want to call out, etc.? The floor is yours to pretty much say whatever you want.
As far as your shout outs, yeah, I'll shout out my friend Evan. I think he's watching the stream. So hopefully he's watching. But other than that, no, I'm happy we won, and I'm grateful for the team I have. I'm pretty sure we can go all the way this time.
That's the confidence we like to see, and of course, shout outs to Evan. Of course, friends watching is it always helps out when you're playing. But thank you so much for the interview, and congratulations on the win once again. Good luck in the rest of your games.
Thank you.
That was Tacos de Arena, the AD carry there for Bucky's Atmosphere, the victors in that best of 3 in the Piltover group here over Dragons of the West today. But that is going to do it for our broadcast today. We hope you will join us tomorrow with our next stream. It will be the Illinois College JV versus SRIT Gaming. Perhaps it's Shrite Gaming. I do not know. We're going to find out tomorrow, hopefully before the stream, and that will be coming your way at 8 Eastern. That's Shrite Gaming against Illinois College JV with Diatripa and Merlin Mondays, of course. It's going to be Merlin, so definitely check out our good friend and Shadow Mustangs member Merlin there on the color commentary tomorrow evening at 8 Eastern. If you want to learn more about Style Esports, you can do so at the Discord link that is below the stream. I do encourage you to check that out if you want to chat with the casters, chat with the players, learn more about the league, or potentially look to join a team if you think you have what it takes to compete in this league. It is open elo, so anybody can join if you are just yourself, or if you have a dedicated team with you, you can join potentially for our next season. We would definitely love to have you. But yeah, it's about all we have right now. On behalf of myself, my colorcaster Baymax, our gracious host Tori this evening, we thank you all so much for watching, and we hope to see you next time. Good night.